Ladies and gentlemen, we wanted a president to stand up against the globalists. We wanted a president to actually be president and make the major decisions. And that is now happening. And so all the special interests that had hijacked this nation are now in an information war of lies and deception against our president. Colonel Schaefer, the former head of the operations against al-Qaeda and a former CIA analyst as well, has gone public saying that the president is in an information war and a battle with criminal elements of the deep state to take him out. And he must realize he's in a war and must have a battle plan. We're going to go to that clip coming up in the next segment. Part of that battle plan, obviously, is to remove the president so that they can punish the nationalists in this country and send us a message that we'll never again be allowed to actually run our country or be in control of it. Look at the CNBC headline. Dow drops 250 points. S&P and NASDAQ fall 1% as Trump worries send shivers down Wall Street. And you can see behind me, if you're watching on television, exactly what's happening with the Dow Jones plunging for the first time in the last 4 or 5 months. Because with Trump, we're going to have better business deals. With Trump, we're going to have cheaper energy. With Trump, we're going to have an open for business mentality. With Trump, we're going to have someone that actually is looking out for free market systems. The problem is the globalists want a crony capitalist operation. Now, I know you, the listeners and viewers, know this. But I got on the phone with Dr. Corsi and others this morning, and I said, we have to have a battle plan for the American people and for good people in Congress and for the governors and for the legislators and for others to take action as aggressively as we can within the law against these globalists, because this is a fifth column. In between writing articles about how they want to overthrow the president, you've got New Yorker magazine, a very elite publication, saying we should have never had America and America's evil and George Washington was bad, and an image of a Minuteman sitting on top of a world of skulls. So the world is a horrible place where the United States produces most of the wealth in the world so that 48% of the population don't have to work, and then call for Trump's impeachment because he dare get $3 trillion in the stock market and hundreds of billions of new jobs for them to suck off of. But again, there is an evil instinct to the parasites that they want to dominate and they want to control and they want to run the other 52% that actually produces. And they have a crazed, out of their mind mentality that they're in an existential battle. They're like a drowning person, projecting all their problems, all their issues onto us, and it's legendary. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to break down when we come back from break what the president needs to do. I'm going to lay out the latest news, but here's the deal. Obama committed massive crimes starting in his second administration, ordering ICE to let illegals pour into the United States. They covered it up by saying, oh, it's children. No, it was 17% below the age of 18. Didn't vet them for diseases, anything. Didn't even care about them. It was about getting rid of the border, setting a precedent. That right there was an impeachable offense, but Congress didn't do anything. We went down to the border and broke that news with emergency managers admitting it on tape and Border Patrol telling us on video. InfoWars broke that. That's why they hate the fact we're here, because we'll bring out information nobody else will touch because it is so powerful, because it is so dangerous. He ordered, under dereliction of duty, the Border Patrol to ignore the law and to let people in. The FBI, Comey, didn't do jack diddly squat about that. But, oh, in a meeting, he's there with the president saying, gee, I sure hope, you know, in your case that you're able to drop this on Flynn. Didn't say you're ordered to drop it. Didn't say I'm the president, I'm telling you to do this. That would be obstruction. He said, gee, I sure hope we can get this moving forward. I think he's a good guy, don't you? FBI director, yeah, I think he's a great guy. That's the transcript, supposedly. They turned that into Trump's the threat. No, Trump's the threat to the globalist. That's why they want him gone. Stay with us. It was about a month and a half ago in March that Atlantic Monthly, one of the most elite globalist publications where they actually communicate with each other, like Foreign Affairs or New Yorker magazine or the Financial Times of London. Pretty much everything else is for public consumption. And if you read the New Yorker, if you read Atlantic Monthly, if you read The Economist, that's another one, they are openly saying overthrow Trump, kill Trump, and use continuity of government to remove the entire Tea Party Freedom Caucus, claiming they're all Russian agents, and use the military to do it. Now, at that time, when I covered the article Rewriting the Rules of Presidential Succession, you notice I told you months before they'd use COG. And they'd use the parallel FEMA government that's designed originally, if we get hit with a nuclear attack or an asteroid or a mass plague, whatever the case may be, that there's an emergency backup government. But always that emergency backup government can then plan in parallel and with funding to create their own coup d'etat. And this happens in many other nations. And there's been behind-the-scenes attempts at using COG previously to bring down Ronald Reagan. In fact, the COG intended him to die in 1981. He didn't die from the gunshot wound. And so the deep state that had become activated by Alexander Haig then had to pull back. And, of course, it was Alexander Haig, who many experts believe was Deep Throat, that helped bring down Nixon as well, along with Naval Intelligence Officer Bob Woodward. This time it's a little bit different because a lot of the deep state is actually for Trump, wants Americana, wants prosperity, and doesn't want the destruction of this country. Now, here's what I'm going to lay out for you today. Several big points, and I hope that Congress listens. I hope that the president listens. I hope you listen. I hope our radio affiliates listen. I hope foreign governments listen. I hope the whole world pays attention, because I've studied how our government really works. I've studied the deep state, used that term 20-plus years ago. Shadow government I used 20-plus years ago, because those are real terms that were there starting back in the 50s. I just became aware of it in the last 25 years. And so they love to call me a conspiracy theorist and just throw that out there. But if you turn on the news now, Fox News, they're saying information wars being used against the president in an attempt to overthrow him so multinationals can take over the United States. You tune over to CNN, Dana Bash goes, yeah, this is deep state revenge against Trump. We're taking over. Chucky Schumer's out there saying, the intelligence community's got 6 ways to Sunday to bring you down, Trump. Better watch your butt. Globalism, world government, carbon taxes, one-child policies, AI supercomputers, total surveillance. Everything I laid out 20 years ago is now water cooler talk. Every single day. Now, everybody might want to hear what's coming next, because I'm going to tell you the different avenues we've got here, kind of like those novels you read back in junior high that have choose your own adventure, that have 3 or 4 different endings. Let me go through the different scenarios that we're going to go down here. And it could be a mix of several of these, but I'm going to tell you exactly where we were, where we are, and boy, lordy, lordy, to quote the former FBI director, where we're going. And I suggest everyone get out pencils and paper, and I suggest everybody have a real discussion about this, and people look into what I'm going to say, what we're going to put on screen, and the clips we're going to play, because they're not planning a soft coup if they're successful taking out Trump. They're going to shut down the independent media. They're going to charge people. They're going to arrest people. They're going to re-educate people. That is all in the current Pentagon manuals. Why do you think the Pentagon got upset and helped put Trump in? Because they knew what the next phase was with Hillary, shutting down the press, arresting her opposition en masse. And it's not that the military and even the smarter guys at the CIA are angels. They understand it will trigger an extended, long-term, bloody, hot war in this country. So there are people that want stability, they want free market, they want prosperity. It's better for America, it's better for the world. Socialism, collectivism, crony capitalism is a nightmare and only works for the 1/10 of 1%. So the people that just want stability in business and don't want to mount America's head on the wall, they're trying desperately to block the next phase. See, Trump's just holding back what was already about to be put in place. So I'm going to lay down the facts. I'm going to lay them out. where we've been, where we are, where we're going. But let me just give you a basic summation here. In the last 4 or 5 months, I've told you, since he was president-elect, this is a deep state coup d'etat operation to undermine him, to destroy him in the public eye first, and then they're not going to let Trump go to prison or even step down. They know he won't. They're going to kill him. And the best minds agree with me. They're going to kill him at the peak of the investigation. Donald Trump is a dead man. He's a dead man. He's dead. He's walking dead right now unless we counter this. Because I'm not just going to lay out where we've been, where we are, where we're going. We can change where we're going if we admit how much trouble we're in. And let me say something else to everybody. A lot of you claim you want to fight tyranny. A lot of you claim you wanted free market. A lot of you claim you want to be American. Our forebears had to fight bloody wars for what we've got. If you won't fight information war, if you won't spend money in this fight, if you won't buy time on local radio, if you won't call C-SPAN, if you won't put billboards up, if you won't go talk to your state house, if you won't go talk to your Congress people in D.C. and get them by the hand and tell them you know what's going on, and if they go along with this takeover of America, they're going to be held accountable. If you don't do that, we're going to lose the information war, and then we don't have any recourse but to defend ourselves. Because let me tell you something. These people, these globalists, they want us. They have said they want to snuff us out once and for all. This is an existential war you're in. The very same Bolsheviks that came out of New York and London and Paris and major German cities like Berlin that took over Russia and exterminated the Christians en masse. That same disease is in America and plans a hot Bolshevik war. David Horowitz was brought up in New York City by parents that came out of this, and he'll warn you all day. They want to kill everybody. And I'm just telling you right now, they mean business. They will line you and your family up, and they'll shoot you in the head, and they'll rape your daughters, and they'll kill your sons, and they'll make your wife work in a field till she dies. So, you want to understand where we're at? We've got the Bolshevik Revolution 2.0 with a crazy Nazi collaborator, George Soros, who you know is making money. They knew as soon as this impeachment stuff got launched, and as soon as Republicans started getting on board, the stock market started plunging. You can bet every red cent in your little piggy bank, George Soros is making a bunch of money today off this. But that's okay because he's a Nazi collaborator. He's above the law. It's okay for Obama to open the borders up and ignore the law and bring in illegals and bring in folks with diseases and not even vet them and violate all these federal laws because he's above the law. Oh, but Trump probably, might have said, oh, I hope you can see it through, in your own research. I hope that we don't have to charge him with anything. That's the president, but anybody could say, I sure hope that nothing's here. I hope this doesn't have to go forward. I think he's a great guy. I don't think he did anything. That's the president's free speech. That's not even obstruction of justice, but the president says that's not accurate and what wasn't said, and that's why he's got it recorded. And notice, no one gets to see the memo. No one knows who said it. It's okay, though, because the deep state says so. So we're going to lose this whole country because the globalists want to militarily, politically capture it. They already had it partially captured. That's where we've been, controlled for decades, manipulated, all these cowards put in positions of power, all these big oligarch combines of corporations and groups that are milking us and consolidating control and shutting down their competition and dumbing down the population to secure their victory. None of them ever stick their head up above the grass, though. They all just as a combine commit their crimes and slowly take over society. And now we got to the point where they want to bring in millions of unwashed radical Islamicists. And they want to further break up our families. And they want to tell us there are no genders, male and female existing are bad and hurt others. This is all happening. And Mother's Day is banned. And so they want to fully conquer us as a civilization, use what's left of America's wealth and power to expand their unelected corporate world government. So that's where we are. But their carbon taxes are getting killed. Their foreign multinational TPP of total takeover of congressional power is killed by President Trump. The coal they turned off is killed by Trump. He's making it cool to be American again. He's bringing sovereignty back. He's bringing wealth back. So you don't want to be the 48% that don't work because you can make a lot of money actually working. He's turning the engine of liberty back on, the engine of Renaissance, and they're panicking. That's where we are. And all their propaganda and all their lies got defeated, and patriots in the government, like Seth Rich and the Democratic Party, burned them and exposed what criminals they are. And now the whole deep state and the EU and the Vatican and the communist Chinese, all of them are focused against America. All the forces of Mordor against Midas Tirith, if you want to use the archetypal example of Lord of the Rings. All the power focused to bring us down once and for all and to destroy Trump. And if Trump falls, make no mistake, our chances of fixing things peacefully are falling. America's dying. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to explain this very, very slowly and very, very clearly. We have to break down what's currently happening in America and all over the world. We have to lay out who the players are, and we have to, as citizens, develop battle plans to defend this republic and to defend other sovereign free market nations. Now, the good news is Australia went under pure carbon taxes and absolute open borders for a while. The public battled back, took their government back, and has reversed much of it. Same thing happened in England. Same thing's happening in Iceland. Italy has said no to EU expansion. Greece is battling back. Russia is battling back. Brazil is just, we can see the numbers on the metrics. Huge audience out of Brazil. And I get all sorts of letters and emails, and I just see it all over the web. Brazil knows about the New World Order and is just in total war against socialism because they've seen Venezuela, they've seen Argentina, they've seen rich countries, as rich as the U.S., richer in the case of Argentina. Gone. Socialism. And it happens over a few generations, and then you're totally poor. And they're living in slums with huge, beautiful buildings that were built 50, 60, 70 years ago all around them, and wondering why their grandparents had electricity 24 hours a day and great culture and life and money, and then why they have nothing. Because you got sold out by socialism. Because they created a system where the elite live in palaces and then you have nothing. Socialism doesn't exist. It's a scam. But I digress, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump, I don't care that the president's called me and thanked me and I've talked to the president. It means nothing. I'm not into Hollywood. I'm not into famous people. I'm not defending Trump because he's like a sports team that I'm a fan of. Trump is the archetype of America now, standing bullish in the face of the tyrants, the intimidation, the demonization, the lies, them trying to rig the election against him, all the foreign money, all the foreign intelligence, all the horrible things done to his family, the weakness of many people in his family, but he still brings them along with him, the weakness of the people he pulls from in the Republican Party, but still delivering on the economy, delivering on sovereignty, delivering on standing against ISIS that Obama helped create, defending Christians, speaking out about the genocide of Christians, doing amazing things, getting a good Supreme Court justice in. So let me tell you, we've talked about the past and the present and what deep state's doing. I'll talk more about that in the next segment. But I want to talk about where we're going. They have said in the Atlantic Monthly and in the New Yorker magazine and now in Foreign Affairs and now in Public Affairs of the Washington Post, all the exact same thing, a battle plan on overthrowing Trump and then removing all the Republicans that got elected in the last election claiming they're all Ruskies and reversing it all, the awakening, the libertarian conservative Americana awakening that already has a phalanx beachhead in Congress and in the states and the legislatures, a total tsunami political realignment that only happens every 80 years or so on average. The third realignment in our history of the United States of America, the longest standing continual government in world history. Because it had a Constitution and Bill of Rights. Wasn't perfect, but was light years ahead of the rest. It now is teetering, hanging by a thread. They love to use that term. We are hanging by a thread. And they're destroying the thread in real time. We're rebuilding the thread in real time. It is a epic battle of forces coming together right now. And everything you do is so critical. Because we're not fighting tyrants that just want to take over. They want to destroy our families. They want to take our guns. They want to take our private property because they want to social engineer us and run us and fly above us in their jumbo jets while we don't have air conditioning or cars or medicine or education or future. These are the most greedy, evil people at the UN and the Clinton Foundation and Obama. They go around to third world countries and rob them and run slave mines and do the most horrible stuff you can imagine, like Bono giving less than 1% of the billions he raises for African aid. These are the worst, most greedy, horrible, evil people the world has ever seen. And they see America as the ultimate engine of power. And if they can just get full control, and if they can just settle their score with the old American system and defeat us, defeat the Renaissance, the old America is the new world, is the future, is the new Atlantis. If they can just destroy that, they win. How could you question if Trump isn't for real when the entire corrupt, evil system of the world is trying to bring him down? And they invert reality and say he's backed by a foreign power that can barely run its own affairs, while the EU, the Vatican, the Communist Chinese, all these other countries, globalist groups, Hollywood, the big banks, are all waging war against Trump because he represents us. We are under attack. Now, coming up, I'm going to lay out their battle plan to bring down Trump. I've been telling you exactly how they do it from the beginning because I've studied deep state. I've studied their own writings. I'm not bragging when I tell you that. It's just you must understand that I am telling you point blank the reality of what's unfolding and what's happening. I went and saw a film a few weeks ago called The Promise that's based on AP transcripts and other journalists that were there of exactly what happened just from a bird's eye view and from a personal perspective in the Armenian genocide. And there's a scene in the film that historically happened, but it condensed several stories that happened on the road trying to get away from the Islamicists, from the Turkish government that were coming to kill the Armenian Christians. Many villages were dumping out of the hills and were being told that they could go to another town to be rescued, but that town had already been overrun and everybody had been killed except for a few survivors. And despite the fact that the survivors were running the other direction, telling people, we just came from there, they just killed everybody, we don't know where we're going, but we know that way you can't go, the people wanted the lottery ticket. They wanted to believe, no, there's ships there waiting to save us. We heard that a few days ago. We're going to get there. Well, those ships had been driven out. It had been occupied by what was left of the Ottoman Empire. And in the movie, he talks to a big group of people. They finally listen to him. He says, I've been there. They killed my wife. They killed my family. Believe me, you need to go. And the leader of one of the groups says, this man speaks the truth. Let's stay here and let's fight. So most of them did survive by going to the hills and fighting. The point is, I'm here telling you, I've been there, okay? I've seen what they do. I've studied history. I've studied the globals. I've seen what they've done to me and my family. A lot of it I can't talk about on air. Believe me, they're bad, folks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about the Democratic Party. Why do you think the Republicans are so scared of them? Why do you think Glenn Beck rolled over a few years ago and is working with them? Most people, when they find out just how evil this is, they roll over to it. Let me tell you something. The top of the Democratic Party are devil worshipers and pedophiles. That's a fact. It's all come out. Everybody knows it. They got their PR firms out there, trying to find a few cases where stuff didn't happen to then say there's no such thing as pedophilia while they're on the news saying legalize pedophilia and trying to sexualize your kids. And Trump has busted over 5,000 pedophiles arrested with children. And then another 150,000 just got green-lighted to be arrested who were caught in the whole playpen scandal. Notice none of that happened under Obama. We're seeing 10 times or more the arrest of pedophiles right now. And it's in the news one time every time they arrest 1,000 here, 400 there, 200 here. It's happening every day, and there's almost no coverage. Trump has green-lighted the police and green-lighted the good people in our government to start going after this. There's a civil war going on against a pedophile army, ladies and gentlemen. You wonder why they're so evil? pedophilia is just one level. The rabbit hole goes deeper. You've seen all these big bankers and all these big people coming out and saying, listen, it starts out with hookers and drugs. Next, it's underage hookers, 16 years old. Then if you want to be in the club, you got to have sex with a kid. And then next, they want you to kill a little kid that they grabbed out of somebody's backyard a week before. And these people start breaking down on TV saying they couldn't do it. Oh, yeah, that's how you join the club. You know, Crips and Bloods or the East Side Vatos or the different white supremacist gangs, you got to go kill a liquor store owner, or you got to go shoot somebody, you got to go do something really, really nasty, you got to hit an old lady in the head with a hammer. All of them have different rituals to prove you're really bad, and they have bad stuff on you. In the real gangs, you rape little kids and you kill them. And let's just get it out in the open why they hate me so much and why they hate the Patriots and why they're trying to bring me down. Because behind the scenes, folks, I'm funding military groups, patriot groups, you name it, they're legally and lawfully running operations here inside the United States to document and bring all this out. We're not just here on air doing all this. And I'm going to leave it there. So understand, if you don't sign on to defeat the NWO, if you don't sign on to fight the globalists, and if you sit there and play into it, oh, maybe he did try to influence the director, oh, maybe Trump is in trouble, and kind of get on the bandwagon of peer pressure, just like we couldn't vote for him, just like he couldn't win, all of it rigged, when Obama committed all those crimes, Hillary committed all those crimes, Loretta Lynch on the airplane with Bill Clinton, opening the borders, selling us out, creating ISIS, funding the Muslim Brotherhood to take over our allies, all the war crimes, aiding and abetting radical Orthodox Islam that Obama's been involved in. If you sit there and if you go along with that, you have signed on to a system just as evil as the Nazis or the Soviets, and probably even more evil. Bottom line. And I'm going to warn the so-called leftists and people, the type that'll drive by if I'm downtown and go, F you, Alex Jones. Or the type 60 feet away will see me doing a live feed and go, oh, you traitor, you work for the Russians. You walk over, show me proof I do. Ah, shut up. You fools. The mainstream media that has funded all the lies and all the horrible things that put Obamacare on you, that has done all this terrible stuff, you sit there and you look at me and my audience and you sit there with your chest sticking out and you call us a traitor when it's for the Democratic Party with the Russians in the old days and the Communist Chinese and the Democratic Party transferring our power to NAFTA and GATT and the TPP and all the rest of it, along with the Republican traitors. And they're the ones putting us under multinational control. They're the ones selling us out. They're the ones telling Africans they can't have cars or air conditioning. They're the ones telling people in Latin America communism's good when Obama goes down and gives a speech last year. They're the ones legalizing communism in the government in California last week while saying it doesn't exist. They're the ones trying to shut down the independent press in America. They're the ones saying they want to kill Donald Trump. They're the ones. They're the clear and present danger. And you're the little collaborator idiots that during the process of the takeover get a paycheck or a job or welfare. So you've lied to yourself about it. If you're going to get money from the system, that's one thing. But don't be a chump and tell yourself that this isn't leading towards total collapse like we're seeing in Venezuela right now. Don't be an idiot. At least have an exit plan before the collapse, you fool. Because the billionaires have already basically evacuated the U.S. and they've hardened every facility they live in with the highest level security. 20-foot walls, machine gun nest, underground bunkers that go to houses a block away. Oh, yeah, Zuckerberg. I've talked to folks that designed it out in California. He bought the houses for 2 blocks around him, and he's building a big wall around it. And the word is they tunneled in there for a year. He's got tunnels to escape out to helicopter pads. So it just looks like he's there in the neighborhood. He puts a wall up around it, and he's got a helicopter pad down the street that's in a facility where the roof comes off of it. The roof opens up like a supervillain, and Zuckerberg goes flying off to a jet pad and flies to Kauai. And all the rest of them got bases in Tasmania. These guys are James Bond villains. And here comes Donald Trump. And he says, I'm going to turn the coal back on. I'm going to turn the jobs back on. I'm going to do two-way deals where we actually make money and other people do. And we're going to do the basic stuff. We're going to do free market. We're not killing free market. And they go, you're crazy. We have a globalism plan where we consolidate the wealth pick the winners and losers and totally take over and hoard the technology for ourselves. Work with us, Trump, and we'll let your family have life extension. And Trump said in the meetings, we're going to release those secrets to the public. Those will be disruptive. He goes, I don't care. We're going to release them. That's why they're racing to kill him. Because as soon as he turns the economy back on, as soon as he goes and makes deals and shuts off the terrorism with Saudi Arabia, as soon as he's done that, they're going to start rolling out the advanced technologies to the public. And they're going to kill him before he does that. You want the cancer cures? Stand by Trump. You want the new free energy systems? Stand by Trump. He's for total innovation. He's for old tech, new tech, advanced tech. You're about to get it all if you just get out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. But to do that, you're going to have to admit you've been brainwashed. I'm speaking directly to all the so-called pseudo-intellectuals who don't know what COG is and don't know what any of this is. Hey, so-called liberals, go listen to me 20 years ago talking about it, or right when Trump got elected, on the day he got elected, saying they're going to use COG to undermine him, demonize him, say he's a foreign agent, try to convince him that he's broken a law or obstructed justice with the FBI, because they always trick you in ways to do that, and then they're going to kill him. Do you watching Stephen Colbert come up with stuff like that? No, you're a pseudo-intellectual who's been conned and who has convinced themselves that they really know what's going on when you don't know anything. Would you like it if I spoke in a British accent to you and talked about liberalism, perhaps, and the danger of the arrogance of Trump and his naivete and how smart you are for hating Trump? Or perhaps if I spoke in an NPR voice, would it be better? Would it be more soothing to you instead of just being real, desperately up here, awash from the wall, that we're being overrun by tyranny, losing all our checks and balances, and the president is under a psychological warfare operation, an information war by deep state, openly declaring war, putting out lie after twisted lie, after half-truth, after regurgitated old frauds. He talked about laptop bombs 2 months after it was in the news and said, we want to work with the Russians to help stop this, and how excited he was to be going to the Middle East and to be working with Israel about a real peace deal with Saudi Arabia, Iran, and others to actually shut down the terrorists and make a deal with Saudi Arabia that we wouldn't overproduce oil and actually let them have a future if they stop the terrorist attacks. And ending the whole Arab Spring that George Soros and Al Gore and Obama and Hillary admittedly started. Remember Anderson Cooper on TV praising Libya, praising Syria, praising Egypt, overthrowing our allies and murdering hundreds of thousands of Christians? That's the crimes. Not if at dinner Trump said, reportedly with no proof, but even if he did, hope you can see it through in your case and your research to, he doesn't get in trouble for this, because I think he's a great guy. I didn't think he did anything wrong. He didn't say, I order you as the president to drop this. That'd be obstruction of justice. He said, according to the transcript that Comey went and wrote down in the bathroom, hope you can see it through. That I don't think he's done anything wrong here. I hope this gets dropped. And then, oh my gosh, he's such a criminal. When you look at everything else the globalists have done, he's the president. This is a constitutional crisis. Are we going to let the corrupt Democrats and corrupt Republicans in Congress against Trump and the Tea Party sit there and hijack the government through intimidation? Because listen to me carefully. It's never going to end if that's the case. They're never going to stop there. They've said in their own announcements they're going to remove the members of the House that got elected and the Senate, saying that's all a fraud. Hold new elections run by Homeland Security that Obama put in place with his last executive order before he left office in January of this year. Think about that long and hard, as we're 120 days in right now or so. And they say the state houses were run by the Russians. And they say the French election was run. Oh, but the Russians weren't all powerful there, so Le Pen lost. And the Russians run everything. If the Austrians don't want open borders, it's the Russians. If the Austrians and Germans don't want to commit cultural suicide, it's the Russians. The Russians, the Russians. So the deep state is going to openly come out in the open, shut down the independent press, consolidate the markets, and remove the patriots all over the United States from the state houses and the local city governments, you name it, with giant armies of Soros-funded Strong Cities Initiative, UN-backed social justice warrior, political activist, Chicago organizer types just descending on everyone in a giant UN globalist reconstruction of America. A Marshall Plan for America to finally kick out the scourge of racist nationalism. That's the open plan, is literal re-education of the United States. Led by a bunch of weird, crazy collaborators like Dana Bash and Chucky Schumer and all the rest of them with just wild-eyed, Joker-level villain faces on, leering that they've got so much power and are out there intimidating everyone, running wild with classical megalomania, while Trump just sits there like a bull-headed stalwart. His whole life, they admit in the Washington Post, is about standing up to bullies and not being pushed around, just refusing to waver as his administration, like cowards, urinate all over themselves in fear, rolling over with their yellow bellies, begging to submit and begging him to submit to cultural destruction. And Trump's bet on you. He's bet on me. He believes you want freedom. He believes you'll stand with him. We need to pray for Trump. We need to pray for InfoWars. We need to pray for this country. We need to go to the state houses, go to the Congress, go to the events, go to the rallies, get in their faces, call C-SPAN every day, call local NPR, get involved, go to NPR, give them materials, give them info, educate every liberal you can, get aggressive about this, and run for office at every level so you can inject truthful ideas and history. And if you're a wealthy person who sat on the sidelines and keeps hoping, we can just fix things peacefully, we can fix it if you get involved now. If you start a show, or if you support this broadcast, or if you put up billboards, or if you call into talk radio, or if you get involved, whatever you do, it's an information total war, and they're targeting the main people that have been fighting back. They think they can knock us out and then send a message to everybody else to roll over. Because the Megyn Kellys and the Glenn Becks rolled over a long time ago. They're just mercenaries. O'Reilly wasn't perfect, but at least he didn't hate America, so they got rid of him. Now it's Limbaugh. Then it's going to be everybody else. And, of course, who do they want number one after Trump? InfoWars. And then they're going to get Drudge after that. They're going to get everybody. So let's go ahead and go to Dana Bash. Admits in the memo is deep state revenge against Trump. Yeah, and of course, Chucky Schumer's bragged about this as well. This is the threats of anti-American scum. Here it is.
This president has done in his first 100+ days, even before he came into office, is pick fights with the intelligence community and now the law enforcement community, particularly the way, never mind that he fired James Comey, but the way in which he did it, not giving him the respect of actually telling him in person, or at least not having him find out from cable news. And so we know that this is, they talk about the deep state. Well, these are communities that have a lot of loyalty within and know how to get back, even if you're the president of the United States.
Even if you're the president, you got to learn you're going to pay. This is the unaccountable, out-of-control, deep state bureaucracy that does whatever it wants, is bankrupting this country, opening us up for third world colonization, and then brainwashing the third world colonists to hate America. This is a total cultural takeover of people openly at war with the family, all over Salon and all over the news promoting pedophilia. The literal scum of the earth letting Trump know, yeah, this is the deep state. We're going to keep leaking fake garbage, on and on and on. What does Trump do to strike back? Well, Colonel Schaefer says he has to realize he's in a total war. They're never going to stop, and he's got to get aggressive. Well, what does he do constitutionally to avert this civil war? I think pretty much anything now. You understand that? Ladies and gentlemen, I've got intel here that I've not been allowed to tell you, but there is a civil war going on in the government right now. Even having commercials right now. You know, we have a new Iraq war for like a week. They don't have ads on radio. Or when their 9/11 happened for about a week, there were no ads on radio. I don't have words to describe to you how much trouble this country's in. The Democratic Party has been working for the Communist Chinese for at least 20 years. Because, see, once they took money from the Chinese, they all got compromised. And now a lot of the Republican leaders are working for them. And I have a lot of intel I'm not allowed to share with you. that's directly from the president. And he will not, just like Assange won't release sources because that's the cardinal rule, even though Seth was one of his sources. It's the same thing with the president. He won't release classified information, even though it defends everything he's doing. And everybody's trying to figure out how to do this right now. And I'm going to say it right now. You get Oberman saying, release your leaks now, existential threat, Russia, release your info on Trump. It's the other way around. All the agencies, the news media, everybody, there's no future if you don't release what NBC, CBS, all of them are doing. Everybody inside government, everybody inside these corporations has to start releasing the crimes, the lies, the frame-ups, or we're going to go into a civil war. The globalists are going to lose this. They were going to lose the election. Trump had like 65% support. They had fake polls. I told you that. The CIA and FBI people know that the globalists are going to lose this civil war, but it might kick a nuclear war off in the middle of it. They're crazy people. It's like the German high command. They weren't good guys, but they tried to kill Hitler in '44 because they knew he was going to destroy Germany. Well, it's the same thing with globalism. It's horrible. You don't want it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for the rich people because it ends up imploding everything. But they're so selfish, they want to make everybody else poor so they've got all the power. And I, in the last week, have been privy to a lot of the stuff going on in the White House. And obviously, as things get more desperate, they realize how right I was, and I get even more intel. And I have information from a bunch of different sources in the White House. And then I've got to ask them, why am I even being told this? Because I'm not allowed to tell people. But I'll just tell you this. The communist Chinese are the enemy. And Trump tried to make side deals with them to stop being so belligerent and out of control and to stop manipulating our internal politics. They just basically walked away from it like the Chinese communists do and said, oh, yeah, sure, we will, but then ignored it. And now you've got everybody, the deep state goes to war with President-elect using unverified claims as Democrats cheer. That's Glenn Greenwald, a real liberal at The Intercept. I've told you that for months. The deep state is at war with Trump, and we've got Colonel Schaefer coming up saying it's an information war, and the president has to realize they're not going to give him any quarter, and it's time. You think he committed a crime? How about all the crimes of Obama and Hillary? Sessions, move against everybody. America is being taken over by foreign powers right now, ladies and gentlemen. And so under the Constitution, the president can do anything to anyone who is an admitted officer of that globalist corporate takeover. This is 21st century war. We're going to lose the whole country to a bunch of bloodthirsty communists and pedophiles if we don't back the president 100%. And it's just like the weatherman told the FBI in the hearings that came out in the 70s. They always plan to use the communist Chinese to take over America, but they thought it'd be physical. Instead, it's economic. And then a bunch of collaborators in the government go along with it. God almighty. If people just knew, it's so obvious. Chucky, Schumer, Hillary, they're all literal foreign agents. Something happened about 4 months ago at the Davos Forum when the president had just been sworn in. The communist Chinese president was there. He said, don't worry, we'll help defeat American populism. We'll help the EU defeat it also in Europe. We'll help give money, and we'll also give expertise on censorship. And then Computer Weekly and all these other publications came out and said, oh, China's right about censoring right-wingers. Look at the great system they have in China. Yeah, they kill Buddhists and sell their organs. I mean, you're reading this, not believing it. And then you realize the communist Chinese with 1,300,000,000 slaves are coordinating with the Democratic Party publicly on how to shut down Trump and InfoWars and you. And then you ask liberals, you go, hey, why don't you help us? They go, shut up, traitor. You're a Russian agent. See, because Russia is under globalist attack as well. Russia isn't doing anything. It's a fact. And then I know people that'll end up starting to bash Russia just to get the media off their back. And they go, I know it's not true, but we kind of got to play along with this. I'm not playing along with any of it. I got a Colonel Schaefer clip I'm going to play right now. Then a Dana Bash one I want to play again. And then we got a bunch of guests coming on today. But Joel Skousen, what his uncle was like the head of the FBI in one division and wrote The Naked Communist and all the rest of it. He's an expert on what's going on with all this. But they're making the deep state move on Trump right now because he's trying to restore the republic. That's why Trump's so angry. Day 70, he kind of sideways a little bit, thinking, okay, I'll compromise. Something Trump really never even does because they were trying to bring him down. And plus, he couldn't get his agenda through. They took that as weakness, and they upped the ante to try to totally take him out. See, when Trump never compromised any, he had that aura of invincibility and total support by his backers. But the globalists knew if they could get him to just do a little bit of sideways stuff, he'd lose his support from us partially, and then he could fall. And then once he goes down, the whole republic can be brought to its knees. Then the economy will be imploded. The government will pick the winners and losers. Most people will line up to do whatever they're told to be part of it. And the rest is history. America will pass into history, and the new dark age of globalism will begin. Here is Colonel Schaefer breaking down exactly what's happening on Fox News.
The president, for better or for worse, is the ultimate classification or declassification authority. He can talk to anybody about anything, no matter what the level is. And beyond that, I understand that things were instantly twisted by the National Security Council staff and leaked, obviously, to the Post. And there was a very delayed, very muted response where they should have been right up there outlining the facts right up front about how this is completely false. So I think they, like you point out, the White House communication staff has to believe they are now at a state of war. This is war. It's called information operations, information warfare, and clearly the other side, the deep state, and the Clinton folks, and I have to say some folks on the Republican side are all lining up. The battle lines are drawn, and it's time for people to understand how to deal with this as if like it's a war.
The deep state is committed to maintaining this assault. It seems. I mean, we're not even 4 months into the Trump presidency, and the assaults continue, the attacks continue.
Hit pause.
And we have.
I want to play this from the start. It's a long clip. When we come back, I'll play it again and then play the conclusion. I want to tell the criminals in the deep state, because there's 2 different deep states, probably 3 or 4, but 2 big ones. You've been identified. Globalism is unelected. It's unaccountable. It's anti-human. It's anti-God. It's anti-Christ. It's pro-Islam. You're never going to get away with this. And, you know, a sick part of me, a Machiavellian part of me, actually hopes they bring down Trump because it's going to be bloody and it's going to be bad and it's going to be hard, but it'll ensure our victory long term. Because if Trump just kind of stalemates and kind of fixes a few things, but he gets stagnated, then it'll just kind of permeate. No, did patriotism fail? Did free market fail? But if you want a real war, a 1776... I've already done my stuff, telling the truth. I've already set the groundwork and already got the whole info war ready. I've already got the battle space ready. I've looked at it real careful. You guys are going to lose 90%. I've been on air 22 years, and I can tell you today, so far, and I'm sure it'll get more intense as we go, is the most important broadcast I've ever done. You can just see where our country is, the crossroads we've reached. You can see the globalists working with foreign governments, communist China, the big multinational banks trying to control our economy, trying to pick winners and losers, trying to make a giant underclass of controlled people that they can manipulate. They're at war with free market. They're at war with America. They're at war with Americana. And if they can bring Donald John Trump down, they can bring us all down. Chucky Schumer admits that it's the intelligence agencies trying to bring down Trump. Dana Bash says that deep state is having its revenge. Tony Schaefer comes out, former CIA and Army, headed up the anti-Bin Laden unit, and says this is information war to bring down the president. It's all a lie. The president must realize it's that and must take offensive action. The president, as we speak, has been giving a speech for 30 minutes saying, quote, just minutes ago, he is the most mistreated president in U.S. history. He has been the most unfairly treated. And he's in New London, Connecticut, breaking all of that down. And Trump saying, I want to bring prosperity back, $3 trillion in the stock market, hundreds of billions in jobs. I just, all I want, I'm for America. I'm for America. I'm for America. And the globalists are saying, no, you're a traitor. You're an enemy. We're going to remove you. And then when I was out on the streets of Austin 2 nights ago, people driving by at 20 miles an hour recognize me would say, "Yay, Alex!" Or they'd say, "F you, traitor, F you, Russian." Or they'd yell, "There's the Russian agent." I'd say, "Get over here and talk to me." They'd go, "Oh, screw you, I'm not talking to a traitor." The good news was, though, for every person calling me a traitor, there were 3 people awake in downtown Austin. It was surreal. I was walking back to the hotel where Roger was at, and people were like listening to me in their earphones going, "Hey, I was just listening to you." And they hold it up, and it was like the earlier broadcast. It wasn't the live feed I'd just done. And then the guys bring my car from the hotel. They're like, "We were just listening to you. We love the show." One guy was black, one was Hispanic. So it's just black, Hispanic, white, doesn't matter, old, young. It's Fight Club. It's the battle for the Republic. And it's got to really, really shake the globalist up to know so many people have awakened. So many people now understand that a foreign multinational combine of corporations have taken over our government. They're allied with communist China. They're allied with this corrupt Pope who's bringing down Catholicism. Say what you want about Catholicism, this guy's bringing it down. All the rest of it, it's just a crazy time to be alive. And then they look at our guy who's really delivering, killing TPP, a good Supreme Court justice, and they tell us he's a traitor. The Russians were planting bugs. He gave the Russians secret info. Within hours, it comes out it was all fake. It was the laptop stuff about ISIS and bombs and laptops. That was in the news 2 months ago. But they don't care. More lies, more lies, more lies, because this bureaucracy and these special interests that are looting the American people had been in power for decades, and they're arrogant. They're like coming home, and you've been out of town for 3 months. You got a college student, son or daughter. I've heard these stories. You come home, your kids are having a party. The whole house is a filthy mess. You see some of your antiques have been sold, and you find out that your, son or daughter's on cocaine or whatever. I've read about these stories. Hadn't happened to me. And you say, "What have you done?" They say, "Oh, Dad, I'll do whatever I want." And they take a swing at you. And they can't believe it when the cops get there and they're getting put in the car that it wasn't their house. It wasn't theirs. They stole it. It wasn't theirs. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So let me play this clip of Colonel Schaefer. It's up on Infowars.com. And then I'm getting to the big news. We've just seen the stock market plunge today. We're going to give you the latest here in a moment. Over 250 points. Soros could crash U.S. dollar by pushing Trump impeachment. This morning at like 8 a.m. before the stock market even opened, I called Nico and I said, we're going to go with the headline today, the stock market plunging as the globalists move against Trump. And, of course, that's what started. That's what happened. It's 252 points down right now. Jack Welch said that last night. Just like clockwork, it happened. Jack Welch, though, said that it was amateur that Trump fired the FBI director. What are you supposed to do when the guy says you're crazy because you were being wiretapped when you weren't? Trump says he's being wiretapped. He says he's crazy. He wasn't. He was being wiretapped. They admitted all that. That's the level we've gotten to here. Trump has to move against these people. And I know high-level folks are advising Trump to get rid of this whole nest of leakers he's got. Go on the offense, indict Hillary. You've got her cut and dry. Go after Obama. They want to fight. They're about to get one. Because if we don't, they're not going to give us quarter. They don't want to make a deal. They don't want to compromise. The globalists want to win because they know the people all over the world are turning against them. Here is Colonel Schaefer breaking down the info war.
For better or for worse, is the ultimate classification or declassification authority. He can talk to anybody about anything, no matter what the level is. And beyond that, I understand that things were instantly twisted by the National Security Council staff and leaked, obviously, to the Post. And there was a very delayed, very muted response where they should have been right up there outlining the facts right up front about how this is completely false. So I think they, like you point out, the White House communication staff has to believe they are now at a state of war. This is war. It's called information operations, information warfare, and clearly the other side, the deep state and the Clinton folks, and I have to say some folks on the Republican side are all lining up. The battle lines are drawn, and it's time for people to understand how to deal with this as if like it's a war.
The deep state is committed to maintaining this assault. It seems. I mean, we're not even 4 months into the Trump presidency, and the assaults continue, the attacks continue, and we have, as you indicated at the outset,
Right.
The New York Times and the Washington Post, these are no longer fake news. I mean, they are, it's an entire psyops. It is a disinformation campaign from previous, former journalists.
Right.
What do you think, having some experience with all of the above, would be an appropriate response by this White House?
Well, two things. First, you're completely correct on the papers. I mean, this is they become Pravda, just to use a Cold War metaphor, and it's shameful. Secondly, regarding the very fact, and look, I've met with senior intelligence officials now in place, and Lou, they have to go through and sort out who is going to be actual career people who are going to do their job and those who are loyal to the previous administration. And some of these folks have transitioned from what we call political appointee jobs into career jobs. So you got to go through. My recommendation, I'll tell you what I said, you need to go fire two levels down. Everybody below you 2 levels, fire them. Be done with it. Thank you for your service to America. It's time for you to find a new job. And then start looking for people who are going to be loyal to the American people and to the policies of this president. That's what you got to do. It's just that simple.
I've got breaking news at the bottom of the hour, but I've got to check some of this, not for validity, but to see how much I can release from what's happening in the White House. But I've been told by White House sources to go ahead and go with this information. But there's a total civil war going on in the government right now. Criminal elements of the deep state, allied with communist China particularly, know there's a populist awakening. They know the president's turning the economy back on. He's about to go on a foreign trip and cement himself as presidential. He's about to make Saudi Arabia do a deal to not back Islamic expansion. He's really trying to bring real stability. They're panicking. Soros wants to drive down the dollar. He's obviously bet against what's happening right now, so he's making money off the stock market plunging. That's on Infowars.com. The Dow's dropped 250-plus points. But you've got a total bureaucratic rebellion, a total bureaucratic mutiny going on right now with all these fake leaks and twisted information. And Comey, who helped cover up HSBC and who Obama appointed total operative. And they are so scared because they know Trump is planning to prosecute them once he gets the economy restarted. Too many prosecutions early will stall the economy. They're now stalling the economy to go after Trump. So joining us for the rest of the hour, at the big announcement at the bottom of the hour, is Joel Skousen of worldaffairsbrief.com, former Marine Corps officer, naval aviator. I know his family, and Cleon Skousen, his uncle, wrote The Naked Communist, exposed the whole current paradigm. And, of course, he had family that was regional heads of the FBI, so he can give us some of the inside baseball on that. But this is an incredible time with Dana Bash admitting this is a deep state coup against Trump. They're accelerating this. Where are we right now, and what do you think we can do to respond to this, and what should the president do right now, Joel Skousen?
Well, thank you, Alex. It's good to be with you again. I wish I were confident that Trump was really intending to prosecute. You and I both were very enthusiastic and optimistic about Trump's ability. We saw him heavily manipulated by the advisors around him. They're still there. Comey basically betrayed Trump. Trump really played nice with Comey. He said nice things to him after he was elected. Comey came out and did the Abedin email announcement just before the election, really not so much to swing it to Donald Trump, but to make it less obvious that he was a shill for the government and a shill for Hillary Clinton. But he was. And as he began to continue to prosecute this Russian scandal, which is fake news, total fake intelligence, Donald Trump finally had enough. Trump did, in fact, try to get him to back off on the Michael Flynn investigation after Flynn had resigned. He said, hey, that's enough. Let the guy alone. Comey didn't do that. And so I think Trump just felt betrayed and got rid of him. But so far, I don't see any signs that Trump is still aware. I mean, he just met with Henry Kissinger, called him a wonderful person. You can't be aware of the deep state if you don't understand who Henry Kissinger is.
Well, that's the word. Stay there. I get it from a lot of people that know the president. He literally is like a throwback. He really just thinks that we're all patriots. We're going to save America. And he can't believe that people have this larger agenda. He just keeps expecting them to get in line with making America great again. We'll be right back. We can sit here and go back and forth on whether Trump knows what he's facing or not. But regardless, the globalists are launching their main assault. And they're just so evil, and it's so obvious. And we're looking at this, wondering where is it going from here? That's why Trump has to go on the offense. But how does he do that? It shows how real Trump is, though, that his own advisors come out and his own people and say, oh, you know, we authorized it. We said Comey and recommendations was doing a bad job, the attorney general and the deputy attorney general. And Trump goes, yeah, they did that, but I fired him too over not investigating leaks and this whole made-up Russia deal. They go, oh, obstruction. He's like, no, it's made up. He's actually being honest. When I've talked to folks that know Trump really well, they say he's almost like autistic when it comes to not lying and just saying what he really thinks. And so they're calling that a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. Joel Skousen, you're a smart guy. I mean, I really respect your long-term view on this. Where do you see this going? How do you see this unfolding? Because like Colonel Schaefer said, this is an info war, deep state globalist. Most of the intelligence agency people don't like what's happening. This is not the 1970s with Nixon, and I think Trump's a better person than Nixon. I mean, I think the globalists are desperate here, but how do you see this unfolding?
Well, they are desperate because, you know, Trump in firing Comey has just shown this one aspect of his personality, and that's his unpredictability. I mean, sure, he can be flattered, he can be manipulated, but, you know, you cross him and he starts to see something on, and he can turn on you in a minute. I mean, it's not like George W. Bush or any other puppet president who they may attack on the left to keep him steered to the, you know, in the right direction. I mean, Trump is being manipulated, but he turned on them, and That's right. He can be manipulated and he can make mistakes, but he isn't evil at his heart, like you said in your analysis from the beginning, and he means well, and that's why they're scared of him. Yeah, absolutely. And my basic worry, though, Alex, is he just doesn't have the background in conspiracy.
Well, let me stop you then. And the reason I'm interrupting is you're so on target. You said almost 2 years ago, when it looked like he might win long term, all the same thing. How were you able to psychologically do the accurate analysis of him? Because only now do we see this is the accurate, a good guy who means well, goes off what he knows, won't be pushed around, can be flattered, but is also the wild card because he really cares about America. I mean, how did you know his profile?
Well, because I know how difficult it is to come to a proper understanding of the conspiracy. You've got to have depth. You've got to have background. You've been in this for years. I've been in this since I was 17, Alex, and it is so difficult to perceive the level of deception when you get through the Kennedy assassination and the TW-800 downing and 9/11. And you have to go into the details to be able to. You can't just, like Trump does, do a cursory read of the internet and come to some correct conclusions that, yeah, that looks like there's a conspiracy, but without the depth, without the background.
He doesn't know the deep patterns and how
that's right.
This is complex, but these evildoers, they're very neurotic or OCD in how they pathologically do the same things.
Yes, they do. And as I say, that's why I've been able to predict what the globalists are going to do after a long, long study and my own experience in Washington, my own experience in the military, looking at the yes-manship there and how people are compromised slowly and how the conspiracy uses...
You warned of McMaster up front. He has turned out to be really bad.
That's correct. He's very, very bad. And Mattis is turning out to be bad, too. He just is not a good thinker. I mean, anybody who gets to be a general in the military is a yes man to the establishment and has been indoctrinated by Georgetown professors at the national universities in globalism. And they don't get to be generals unless they go along with that, unless they don't fight it. So I just don't have confidence still that we have anyone who's got his ear. I mean, Steve Bannon is the closest thing to somebody who is anti-globalist and who is not for this raising the troop level in Afghanistan that Mattis and McMaster's are trying to get Trump to go along with. But he doesn't understand globalism either in terms of its details. And so he's not able. I mean, the biggest thing that someone needs to get to Trump, and you and I have tried for months to get to him without success, he needs to understand the false flag nature of terror. He needs to understand that the U.S. deep state is funding terror, is created ISIS, and they're using Turkey and Saudi Arabia and Bahrain and Qatar, to fund them. I just don't have any confidence yet that he's going to Saudi Arabia to undo that, frankly.
Because they'll tell him what he wants to hear and then turn around and do the opposite.
That's right. That's right.
Well, just to be clear, I know some of our info has gotten through, but the problem is if you talk to the president now, he knows he's being recorded, and it's like talking to a robot.
You look at this story about the leaking of so-called class information about this laptop stuff, this potential laptop bomb. Well, this isn't a big story. I mean, anybody can conceive of the fact there's a laptop capable of putting explosives in a laptop. And
stay there. We've got to go to break. Come back with that. I'm Alex Jones, and I am the 1836 Deep State. I've had folks that are well-known patriots in the government that are battling the globalists. We played a clip of one of them earlier. Think that I'm like part of some deep state, stay-behind network for America. No, none of that happened. I am literally organic and real, just like you are. It's organic and real, like your mama and your daddy having you that has the power. Not all this fake government crap. I am so proud of the fact I'm not connected to any of that stuff. Somebody like our guest that's on is a very competent, honorable, great man. His family has borne great fruits, but he'll tell you working on the system only taught him about the treachery and taught him what not to do. And even though he's run some of the biggest conservative caucuses and tried to save this country, he realizes that the nation is so evil that we probably really need to focus on ourselves, our communities, and we hope people like Trump could defeat them. But the truth is the corruption is just so deep. But how do we keep the destruction of Trump, if it's going to happen, from bringing us into an even larger civil war? We'll talk about that in a few minutes with Joel Skousen. I get so focused that even though right now we're not even bringing in the money we need week to week, the last few weeks even fund our operation, I didn't plug one time last hour. I skip breaks. I do it all. And I just need to tell the listeners, if you want to see us continue on and if you want to see us expand in the face of this as they come after us, we need you to go to InfoWarsStore.com, whether it's water filtration or non-GMO heirloom seeds or the supplements or the Trump is my president shirts that are part of history. Those are at cost right now, $4.95. We need your financial support. Now, I'm going to play a little 3-minute piece and go back to Joel Skousen that I shot a few days ago with the new Emmerich's Essentials. We did market analysis, and they where it's somebody's name, like Tom's of Maine. That's who private labels our toothpaste, and we add a little silver and iodine to it. Great product. That's our Super Blue toothpaste. But in this case, usually the private labeler sells in stores, so they don't want you to particularly say who they are. They just let you private label. But this Patriot is the number 3 largest, but I'm not going to even say his name. I'm going to leave it alone because the globalists go after whoever we're working with. But they'll be able to figure it out. A lot of you probably recognize the packaging if you're watching us on TV because he'd let us use his own packaging. We just changed the name to Emmerich's Essentials. This is one of the leading organic lines of personal care, from mouthwash to body wash to shampoo to SPF natural, high quality, non-nano, zinc, so it's not toxic. It's really good for you. And we've got high quality non-metal deodorant. We've got great natural bug spray to keep the bugs off of you, BOA. And out of the gates, it's 20% less than they sell their products in stores because there's not a middleman. We private label it. And then I'm doing 25% off. We usually do 10% off, but with Emmerich's Essentials, I think you're going to like it so much, 25% off on the cost when you sign up for auto ship. You can cancel anytime. You can order and then cancel if you want. 15 days, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, right up to a year. You can sign up for auto ship. And then that way you're supporting us each month or every 60 days. Don't have to think about it. Because I'm the type that uses my own toothpaste, and then I run out, and my office is 15 miles from home, and a mile away is a drugstore, and I go in there, and there's not fluoride-free or high-quality toothpaste, and I'm like, I'm not going to have stinky mouth. I'm going to just get some fluoride toothpaste. Because my dad's a dentist, and fluoride does help your teeth topically. It's just bad cumulatively. So every once in a while, I actually do a limited fluoride treatment because it really does work. It's just that a lot of it, brain damage, usually causes problems. The point is, I'll end up using fluoride toothpaste, but you can't even get non-fluoride toothpaste. Well, we've private labeled that. Well, it's the same folks that make Tom's of Maine. Well, this is another company, the 3rd largest out there, and you'll recognize the bottles. It's now called Emmerich's Essentials. So that's 45% off when you order the auto ship because you're already getting 20% off retail, and you're getting an additional 25% off. Here's a little promo piece I shot to break all this down. But here's the deal. I don't want to talk about the stuff going on behind the scenes, but it's been, let's just say, substantive. And quite frankly, very positive in many ways, because I know I'm doing a good job. Makes me a little bit guilty that I haven't been as strong as I wish. And I'm a very fleshly person, but God forgives me every day for it. And I try to be a good person. But other than the nightmares and stuff, my life's pretty good. So when I'm asleep, the subconscious is weaker, and I have to think about the things they've done publicly and behind the scenes. And I'm not complaining. It's just I don't want to lose, because these people are so bad. And if you'll just pray for us, and if you'll just buy the products we produce, they're a great deal. They're high quality. And if you'll just continue to financially support us and our local affiliates, we won't lose. And I don't get tears in my eyes because I'm feeling sorry for myself. I get tears in my eyes because if the American people knew the true satanic pedophile evil we're facing and just how demonic it is, and I've brushed up against it more than once, it hurts my soul to get this close to this evil. And it makes me get incredibly angry with myself that I haven't been stronger in the face of this, and I've made jokes about it. And I don't mean jokes, I mean I have fun on air and stuff. And I just really, I need to be even more focused, and I need you to be more focused, because this is the takeover we're facing. These people hate us because we're Christians. They hate God. They hate free will, and they hate our children. They hate innocence. They hate all God's gifts. And we're in a spiritual war. And if you'll just pray for us, more important than buying the products, and if you'll just spread the word, we will be able to continue on. And I didn't mean to, start choking up here on air. It's just that you don't know how evil this is until you actually face it and actually start beating it. And then you get to take on the really big, nasty stuff that's out there. And it makes you realize that there are a lot of innocents out there that never had a chance to know what hit them. And it's up to us that are strong men to really pray that God give us the strength and others the strength to bring down this enemy. We only do it through Christ. And that's why the enemy, that's why Trump has Pence talking about Christians being persecuted and how in Christianity and saying the name of Jesus, they hate that. And so that's why the enemy's so upset. This is a real battle. So I'm going to play this piece and then give Scalzo the floor. I know I'm ranting here, but because we're not plugging a lot here on air because I'm so focused, I need your financial support. And these are great things, the best non-GMO heirloom seeds, the best water filtration systems, the best durable foods for low prices. You can get better stuff at higher prices, obviously, but this is good quality. I mean, this Emmerich's Essentials is excellent, and it's a godsend that it took us years to finally have a personal care line, and we waited and waited to have the best, and finally got one of the very best. The crews used it. They love it. So here's my little 3-minute piece. We'll go to Joel Scalzo. All right, folks, I'm done with the long plug, and I appreciate Joel Skousen sitting there for 10 minutes while I was ranting. Let me just give you the breaking news at the start of the next segment, because I still got to make these phone calls, because I've been given a lot of big news from the White House from 2 different sources today and then another source. And you notice our leaks always turn out to be accurate. These are real sources, the patriots that are there. And I'm trying to figure out exactly how to put this out the right way, because the limited information I've been given, I don't want them to spin it and say I got it wrong. But let's go back to Joel Skousen. Joel, I'm going to try to shut up and let you for the next 15, 20 minutes talk about where we're at, the crossroads. Where do we go if they defeat Trump? What type of world do the globalists want to build? Why are they so desperate to bring him down? How could Trump strike back if he was actually listening to you or myself or others? The word is he does go in and try to do stuff, and then they ignore him everywhere. I know top-level folks are telling him, so's the military, go ahead and just purge basically everybody. I know you tried to lead a movement to restore things in Washington. What do you think we should do?
Well, it's really tough because in the government you have so many thousands of people that staff these positions. And, you know, Trump took the advice of Reince Priebus and other people of putting in establishment people. I mean, look at the leaks. As you know, when we last talked, I said this leak aspect about the laptop computer explosive device just shows how bad it is in the White House. I mean, none of the principals that were actually in the meeting with the Russians, Tillerson, Dana Powell, and McMaster's, leaked anything to anyone. And so all of a sudden you have these claims that, you know, you've compromised sources, he's told where this information came from, and these people, this third party, this ally is not going to give us any, that's baloney, of course. But the point is, here's a leak in the White House that they're basically proving, and Trump should know, this isn't a private meeting. There are people in his very White House that were watching, whether through not wiretaps, but microphones in the room, et cetera, and was leaking to the press immediately after this meeting with Lavrov. This is just incredible. Now, how do you get rid of this? Well, it's very, very difficult because, you know, to get proof of who's doing the leaking and stuff, you've got to control the NSA and the dark side of government. The deep state controls the NSA. But there were no essential secrets that were passed. This was made up out of whole cloth. This was another fake intelligence like the Russian thing. But, you know, they can do this at will every single day of the week because Trump is full of, Trump's administration is full of traitors, basically, to not only Trump, but the United States. So to clean house, first of all, you'd have to really protect yourself because you think the attack on Trump is bad. If he started a really clean house of the deep state, they would clearly assassinate him. They would never let a person, you know, get away with this. So you'd have to actually go into a closed situation where you pick your Secret Service people. Trump can exercise good judgment about people. He doesn't usually, but he can. But you'd have to be able to do that to make sure that the Secret Service that was involved in the JFK assassination did not take you down. And it's very difficult to do that. But if Trump was listening to me, I would say, you know, Mr. President, you have really got to, first of all, take time out. You've got to you can't relearn what Alex Jones and Joel Skousen took, 20, 30 years of our lives to learn. You've got to have an advisor in here who's going to parry what you're hearing, who sits by your side and says, all right, this is false, this is true, this is bogus, and this is where to get the right information. I don't know how you can survive, Mr. President, without somebody from our side who understands the great evil of secret combinations, and they are combinations of power. I get news feeds, for example, hundreds of times a day, and they are covering Alex Jones more than I have ever seen in my entire life before, and none of it is positive. They're taking pot shots at Alex from Media Matters and from CNN and from ABC and NBC, and every other news congregator is attacking him because why? He's effective. And that's why they've tried to cut off your funding sources, Alex, because they know they've got to get to you some way. You're being effective. I mean, for example, Trump has done some good things. He, for example, opened up the federal databases so that his election investigation on illegal aliens can get the data from the federal database of how many people are on the election rolls that are also illegal immigrants or have green cards that are not citizens. And Obama would not give that information. So there's some real positive things. I mean, he's arming the Kurds, despite Erdogan of Turkey's objections. And I think that's a good move. But still, you know, you've really got to attack the deep state and go after the deep state if you're going to win this battle. And
how does he do that? Because constitutionally, if a president's faced with a burrowed outside power, a 21st century espionage multinational system like globalism is, I'm not calling for a hot war. I'm not calling for anything. But quite frankly, I think a government this infiltrated, a country under attack, with the New Yorker magazine saying we should have never had 1776, George Washington was bad, at a certain point, the president could cut the cancer out. I'm not somebody that ever wants some type of military action, but if we really are facing basically lymphatic cancer, and then we don't move to cut it out, we're just buying time.
Well, as I say, you have to surgically remove what's going on. You certainly cannot let the deep state continue to sabotage you, and that really takes someone to go inside. I mean, you can't fight.
So how does he do that? I mean, how does he move? Because, I mean, they call him meeting with the Russians selling out, or they call him talking about going after cop killers as being fascism. We're so paralyzed. What does he do? What does he do, Joel?
Yeah, I did hear the question. It's just that...
it's delayed.
You know, I could see it if I were in there. You know, you got to have some perception. I'm just not sure that Trump can see it without somebody who he trusts that he can bring in to do the job for him. I mean, you've got to have an understanding this is a satanic conspiracy. You've got to have the ability to perceive evil people who are lying to you. I'm convinced that Trump can't do that. And so he's got to trust somebody. It's just incredible to me, Alex.
Bottom line, he needs somebody who has real spiritual discernment.
That's right. There's just no substitute. When you're dealing with wolves in sheep's clothing, look at how many good Christians have been deceived, you know, by Dick Cheney and you know, other people that they've given honorary doctorates to. They've given honorary doctorates to Henry Kissinger and to Brent Scowcroft. You know, these are deep state conspirators.
All right, let's talk about how to defeat that straight ahead. And I got a clip of Putin talking about how he has a transcript showing they were recording it. Now, here's Putin today saying, look, we got a transcript. Now, did that mean one of their aides was writing it down in real time, or were they recording it? Well, the truth is, all these people are recording everything because they got to protect themselves. And so Trump said he was recording Comey, and they go, oh, you're like Nixon. Let me tell you, when you're on the phone with the president or you're in the room with him, you're being recorded because you can't have people just make stuff up. So we're going to play this and then ask Joel Skousen where he thinks the deep state's next moves are going to be. Because Joel Skousen was talking 30 years ago about deep state, his uncle about it 50 years ago. These are terms that the Liberty Movement basically coined because we were studying it. I mean, I'm just some, Johnny-come-lately to all this. But again, there's also a patriot deep state that helped us win. And we see the Seth Rich situation. I'll ask Skousen in the next little short segment if he can stay about the latest developments on that with federal investigators, saying, oh, no, we've seen the emails. We see it. The family early on thought he was killed. Now they're kind of backing off. But I've seen that before. We'll see what Joel Skousen thinks in a moment. But here is Vladimir Putin responding.
We're seeing political schizophrenia developing in the US. I see no other reason for the accusations of Trump revealing any secrets to Sergei Lavrov. If the American administration agrees, we're ready to provide the transcript of Lavrov and Trump's talks to the US Senate and Congress.
As if you're going to leak secrets, you do it in a room full of people's aides. This is the most ridiculous. Like, I have some contacts into the Army, special operations, and they say the way the media put it out, what Trump talked about was just the laptops of the news, that the way the Washington Post says the leak was about specifics of intel and who gave it to us and the infiltration of these groups, that was the high-level stuff the president didn't even know because it's so detailed and wasn't in the briefings. And I have that. I've seen that from some of my sources, and that even goes into some of the most elite Army units that are out there, Joel Skousen. So this is just getting really reckless. What do you make of it all?
Well, this is really getting almost comical how the news media is just actually manufacturing things. I mean, look, if you know Donald Trump, you know there's no way he's a person of details. He couldn't have remembered the cogent details to repeat them, even if they were classified. And besides, it's very, very difficult in a classified briefing to unless you're very experienced in government, to understand now what is the real secret here. You know, the whole subject is classified, but some stuff is sensitive and some stuff isn't. And, you know, unless Trump were really carefully briefed on that, he wouldn't really know the difference. So he came out and admitted in a tweet, well, yeah, I admit it. I mean, I did tell him some classified and it was fully justified. He meant by that, not that he was confirming the details of Washington Post, that the whole thing that I knew about was classified. And I did talk about some of that because it was pertinent to the Russians helping us out on this. So this is never going to get proven one way or the other down to the bottom line. But all I can tell you, what it really tells me is the deep state is listening to everything that Trump has been doing. And there's a way to stop that. I mean, literally, he's got electronic engineers throughout the White House. They can remove any of the bugs that are there.
Well, you know, I had a White House source tell me that's why the first few weeks he wouldn't stay there. They reportedly dug out hundreds of devices.
Well, and then there's the bug-free room they've got in the White House, too. He can go into that room, which everything is carefully screened so that it's double-walled and there's no microphones and other things if he really wants to have a confidential conversation. But, of course, you don't have, you know, you don't bring foreign people from Russia into those inner sanctums of the White House, but there are protected rooms that you can get absolute secrecy.
Wow. I want to ask you when we come back, but let's start getting onto the subject now. Seth Rich, I mean, WikiLeaks has all but said he was the source. Now we have these investigators, but some of those stories have gone back and forth. We've got feds reportedly telling Fox News, no, we've seen it. He is one of the main WikiLeaks hackers. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Seth Rich was removed. He was killed because he was disgruntled. He leaked to the WikiLeaks. He was the guy, and they took care of him. And boy, that sends a message to any potential other leakers.
And we have a Podesta leak saying, I don't care if the person's innocent or not. I'm ready to make an example right now. That's in between their Russian dealings and the artwork of little kids on their walls and naked children. By the way, that's in the Washington Post. We'll be back. Stay with us. All right, I haven't gotten to it yet because I've been green-lighted to talk about a bunch of stuff I've been told in the last week. And I've been green-lighted by the White House. And they're saying, go with it now. And that was an hour ago. And then I'm sitting here while I'm talking about this, and I'm trying to make sure that I talk to them. And I haven't yet to find out exactly how I go with it. But that shows how frantic this has gotten. And yeah, the White House is in disarray. It's under attack from without, from within. But it's not Trump's fault. And I'm not here to worship Trump. But the thing is, you know a man by his enemies. The whole world system hates him because he's not an evil person. I used to think he was like super Machiavellian, and actually his genius is almost like he's OCD in that he just does what he does and has his methodology and is not a bad guy and has a big work ethic. I'm not saying he's not really smart, but the more I learn about Trump is he's so transparent, that's what they're using against him in a way. And I don't want him to be Machiavellian, but then you see someone who isn't Machiavellian, who just kind of instinctively does what he does, and we think it's genius. It's like almost idiot savant. What do you say to that, Joel Skousen?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. Even though Trump has his faults, he has not led a moral life. Still, he is a basically good person. It comes through.
We have this plan to go to the hottest place on Earth.
You know, I'm getting another broadcast coming through my audio,
which is
Alex.
allow us to pay our vendors, receive payments. We never.
Yeah, that's on your computer. Something's up. It's okay. Keep going. It's good radio. Go ahead. He muted it. Joel, did you fix that? Skype's a wonder, folks.
Still on, Alex?
Yes, you are. Can you hear me, Joel?
Let me just shut down my browser here to stop that.
Use the Chase mobile app to send money in just...
It's okay. Whenever you want, we can go back to it. Whenever he wants to hear me, he can just... Yeah, that happens to me sometimes. I'll be doing a live broadcast, and like you'll be on a CNN article. They're the worst, and an ad pops up playing something, and then it goes to the feed. So it's all part of the great transparentness here that we're projecting out into the world, exposing the globalists. Joel, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, sorry. We're getting to the fact that he is genuine. That's why this world system tries to regurgitate him out.
Well, you know, it just shows how intolerant they are of any possibility of any crack in their agenda being compromised. I mean, they are just apoplectic about Trump sharing, for example, the federal database so that he can actually document that there are millions of illegal owners on the voter rolls. I mean, they would love to impeach him over something, and they're building for that. There's an awful lot of traitorous Republicans that would go along with that impeachment thing. So far, nothing has arisen to that level, and I'm not sure it can happen anytime soon. But Trump probably is going to make a mistake that will get him into an impeachment. But the deep state is literally apoplectic about the fact that we've got somebody we don't control in the White House. As I said during the Romney campaign, even though Romney was bending over backwards to please the establishment, hired all these globalists from the CFR as advisors, he wasn't one of them, and you can't have somebody in the White House. That's why Republicans and Democrats came out to destroy Mitt Romney.
That's right. They didn't have any dirt on him. Even though he wanted to be part of the establishment, they didn't have any dirt, so they didn't feel comfortable.
That's right. And so now you've got somebody who is just utterly unpredictable, and he can turn on them in a minute. I mean, McMaster's is having real trouble with Donald Trump getting him to okay the increase in troops in Afghanistan, because Steve Bannon is saying to Trump, no, you don't want to do this. And that's why it hasn't happened yet. But
I had the leak over a month ago, point blank, directly from Trump. I'll just leave it at that. It's not happening, don't worry. And then 3 days later, he came out and gave the speech, and then he hadn't allowed it so far. And it just shows how out of control this entire group he's got under him is. I think Colonel Schaefer's right. He fires people 2-3 levels down and replaces them right now with loyalists.
Right.
WorldAffairsBrief.com. Folks who subscribe there or read the daily briefings. Joel, thank you always for your great commentary and piercing analysis. God bless you, and we'll be following your work.
Thank you very much.
Man, I was watching during the breaks this intriguing press conference Putin gave in the middle of the night here, but I guess in the afternoon there or whatever. And they were just laying out how ridiculous this whole narrative that Russia runs this and how they're trying to destabilize the government here in the United States. Now there's a whole psyop against our president. And then I see Colonel Schaefer, a total patriot, saying the same thing. And then I see Dana Bash, who hates Trump, admitting, oh, yeah, we're going to bring you down with deep state. With bureaucrats in the meeting lying and saying that Trump's giving them secrets in the meeting when none of it's even true. And then leaking secrets themselves of secret stuff so they can sit there and try to burn the president. And it just makes me ask, how much more desperate will they get? They tried to steal the election. They got caught in the WikiLeaks, thanks to Seth Rich and others. And now they're in full panic mode. Don't you guys get globalism's out in the open now? Your New World Order is openly exposed. Don't you understand now that it just gets harder for you to roll the boulder uphill? We now have the high ground. We have the initiative. The people are aware of you. And I don't say that to get myself on some power trip or convince myself I'm winning. I'm never that guy. I understand historically we're beginning to win. Then you have the CNN host has an on-air meltdown versus a Navy SEAL. You can't attack CNN reporting our sources are perfect. CNN is a cesspool. BuzzFeed admittedly just makes up their sources. This is all, it's in the WikiLeaks that CNN makes up stuff and rigs everything. So Owen Schroyer is our guest, co-hosting for the balance of the hour. Dr. Corsi's popping in. Did we get Mike Cernovich to pop in? Yes, we got a bunch of people in this hour. It's going to be a big smorgasbord.
That's great. Mike Cernovich is just totally trolling all the mainstream media in Washington right now. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And
by the way, New York Times and Washington Post covered Obama's leaks all the time, but I never heard anyone calling for impeachment then. What's up with that, Alex?
Obama was allowed to leak whatever he wanted.
Yeah, how come that goes on?
He was allowed to order the borders completely wide open outside of law, but that was okay. And obviously he was there telling the Justice Department people not to go after the Clintons and himself for all their crimes.
Alex, I was really happy the way you opened the show today. It was exactly what needed to be said, because people need to understand that we are in a civil war. That's not rhetoric. That's not you up here saying, oh, civil war, everybody free. No, this is actually going on. And
the people we're fighting are literal trash.
And whether you like President Donald Trump or not, he's the one fighting for America. That's just a fact.
And if they bring him down, I thought everybody likes underdogs. He has good policies, and everybody's ganged up on him. How could you, and then us. So here's the deal. Can you imagine, let me ask you this. What happens if they bring Trump down? Well, they say they're going to remove all the Republicans that were elected in the last election. We're all going to be Russian agents, and they're going to have deep state come after everybody, and we're not going to just roll over to that. So, and that's why the real deep state doesn't want this. They're like, we'd like our pension funds to still be good. I mean, anybody who's sane, but see, the left isn't sane, are they?
Well, no. They have complete doublethink and double standards. That's been exposed time and time again. And what I'm worried about, Alex, is in this tight news cycle that we're in now, where you're going to have 5 massive stories breaking in a 24-hour span.
And it comes out that he didn't give out the laptop info. That was already public. Oh, we've already jumped to, you told Comey not to investigate. Then they've already jumped to, they already just jumped to the next BS.
So your head is spinning. You've got multiple members of the U.S. government on the floor today crying for impeachment. We'll get to that in a second. But what I'm worried about...
Oh, yeah, we have those clips. Big battles on the floor.
And this is the Civil War. And so what I'm worried
Trump has to go full offense.
Is... Because here's what we're going to do, Alex. Just like we did in the presidential election of 2016, we're going to win in 2018. We're going to get our people in office.
And that's why they're panicking. They want to declare all opposition to not teaching your kid how to be a tranny at age 5, and all opposition to not taking vaccines, and all opposition to not having open borders and free anchor babies, and all opposition to having one-sided trade deals with China, and all opposition to not having communist justices. That's all going to be called Russian now. We see where it's going. They want an authoritarian move against us, and thank God the founders put in that time bomb of defense, the Second Amendment.
So I'm concerned that they see this narrow window, that they think that they may have any political mandate to actually go through impeachment or anything. And here's what it's going to take. I have a list today, Alex. I don't know if you want me to go down this list, but I have a short list here of all the swamp members that need to be drained in 2018.
Let's expose the traitors, the enemies.
Let's start with, how about one out of Texas? He was on the floor today calling for Trump to be impeached. And that is the representative from the 9th Congressional District here in Texas, down in Houston, Al Green. Al Green is a swamp creature. He needs to be ousted, and that is up to the people getting out. And
we got the swamp lord, Maxine Waters.
Now, this is the best example here with Maxine Waters. Now, Maxine,
look at Al Green. He just...
So there's Al Green, yeah. That's a swamp creature right there.
I mean, what is up with that face right there?
Yeah, that's not. This is a smile, Alex. Yeah. Anyway, here's the big point about Maxine Waters. What's happening, and this is what needs to happen, is Omar Navarro, who is running against Maxine Waters, is actually on the ground running right now. On Monday, he did an announcement that he was running against Maxine Waters. You know where he did it? Outside of Maxine Waters' $4.3 million mansion, okay? All kinds of media was there. He had a mariachi band there.
And they called for her to be deported. They called for her to be deported.
How can you not like a mariachi band? So he's out here making the announcement. You know where Maxine Waters is? Well, no, she's not at her $4.3 million mansion in Hancock County, not where she represents. No, she's not in the districts where she represents that are ongoing with poverty and homelessness. She's in Washington. She's on the mainstream news calling for Trump's impeachment.
Hey, can we get Navarro on the show?
Absolutely, we can get Omar Navarro on the show. You want to interview him?
Absolutely.
He's actually a huge fan of yours, Alex. He'd love to talk to you. So he's actually hitting the ground running. He's going to defeat Maxine Waters. If you want to see how to defeat the swamp, look at what Omar Navarro is doing.
In fact, I meant to get to that. We've known the past, the present, the future. Everybody runs for office. Everybody calls C-SPAN. Everybody calls talk radio. Everybody supports talk radio because they're trying to kill it. Everybody supports InfoWars. Everybody prays for liberty. Everybody tells the truth. And everybody, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, you get somebody else of another color, take them to a barbecue, take them out shooting, get past all this race crap, and come together and just absolutely and back Donald Trump. Because, again, they've said in the deep state announcements, in the major publications, they're going to try to, quote, suspend Congress and have the deep state have new elections that Homeland Security runs. And can you say staged election, total takeover? And they're planning a Venezuela-style takeover. It's not going to happen. My God, they're led by Nancy Pelosi. Doesn't even know that Bush isn't in office.
Well, and you know that I've had times where I had reservations about Trump. I'm full bore. I'm back on the Trump train. The more they attack him, the more that legitimizes him to me as the president. How about this, though? You'll love this. Elizabeth Warren, okay, she's coming up as a senator in Massachusetts. You know who's running against her? Shiva. This is a guy, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not going to try it. Shiva, Fight for America, U.S. Senator. His campaign slogan, defeat fake Indian Elizabeth Warren. This is an actual Indian. He's from India. He's a private businessman. He says that he's an inventor.
I love it because she's Native Americans and Indian. He's actual Indian, yeah.
So get the real, and here's the thing. Again, this is another guy who's running. I'm not seeing anyone else. Here's some other people. Dianne Feinstein, nobody's pressing her right now in the Senate in California. The 12th District, Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco. Nobody's pressing her right now. Come on, people. 28th District in California, Adam Schiff. I know that you know who that guy is. Somebody press him. 26th District, Julia
Absolutely.
Brownlee. It goes on.
You've reached the shield generator. Target, maximum firepower.
So this is who's fighting in the 26th District right now of California. Antonio Sabato Jr. They say we're racist, but there's a Latino, again, 2 of them now running as conservatives in California. This is how we drain the swamp. Rhode Island, Sheldon Whitehouse. This guy calls for Trump's impeachment every day. He's a senator.
Yeah, but what is it? If it's a white Democrat, they look really ugly and stupid. If it's a Hispanic Democrat, they look ugly and stupid. Or a black Democrat, it's like all the conservative blacks look sharp and cool. All the conservative Latinos look sharp and cool. All the white conservatives look better. Why are liberals ugly?
Actually, it's funny, Alex. I have a story.
No, I'm serious.
No, I'm serious, too.
I mean, I've seen it.
I'm going to tell you. The liberals right now are truly in a disaster, Alex. They are honestly in a mental and psychological
That's right. Their party's imploding, so their answer is declare us all Russians.
I mean, look, if you're a crazy person, you're going to look like a crazy person. You're going to look like George Soros. You're going to look
Chucky
like
Schumer.
Maxine Waters. You're going to look like Aid Skrillex. It goes on, or Trigglypuff, or these people.
Or Michael Moore.
Alex, I had a crazy experience over the weekend dealing with liberals, which, by the way,
I mean, here's Schumer.
Literally, though, he looks like I would.
Nosferatu, your blood. Oh, sorry.
If you walked into a deli and you saw Chuck Schumer slicing pastrami,
no, I'm walking out.
Exactly, you'd walk right back out. But Alex, I had a crazy experience with a couple liberals this weekend. And by the way, you're worse than Glenn Beck, so congratulations to the liberals. You're now worse than Glenn Beck.
Thank God.
But here's the thing. As the night goes on, Alex, this is a true story. These two liberal women, okay, that they hate you, they can't believe that President Trump, I mean, you know, the full standard, what you would expect. Alex, this is how much of a disaster they are. By the end of the night, both of them ended up fighting with each other and crying and going home.
Well, you were telling me.
These people are a mental
There's good-looking women
disaster.
everywhere, but they're basket case liberals.
It's the wildest thing I've ever seen.
A conservative libertarian woman is super fun.
They're fun. They're down to earth. They can have a good time. They can have a laugh. You know, it's not like they're look. Oh my gosh, what is this guy looking at me about? Oh my gosh.
Oh, we've had, you know, when I was divorced a while, I'm married now. I'd go to parties and stuff, and like, liberal women would walk over and like be like, I just want you to know I'm not having sex with you. And I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Are you crazy?
Like, that's the first thing.
It's like we're desperate. Oh, it's a woman. Let me have sex with you right now. Ha! Meanwhile, they're hitting on you that way. You're like, get away from me, lunatic. Or I was wearing a captain's hat at a Halloween party. I had people walking over going, are you a Nazi?
Yeah.
And it was all weird white people doing it.
Well, so here's what's going to happen. Those people are going to be fewer and more far between as we go on here. They don't have control over the country anymore. They don't have control over the polls.
They're not having kids.
They're losers. And if we start having their leaders losing in elections, then they have nothing. Maxine Waters, anti-Maxine, the queen of the millennials right now, what are they going to do when she's gone?
Stay woke.
Yeah,
so what's happening is stay woke. Meanwhile, that Putin invaded Korea.
Here you go. Justin Amash.
Well, what, Jack? I'm sorry.
Justin Amash, the first Republican today, Michigan's 3rd congressional district. Justin Amash called for impeachment today. First Republican. Drain that swamp.
Oh, I've always thought Amash is a weasel. He ran on a Ron Paul
he looks
ticket.
Like
Amash. He's to be blown out an airlock. Coming up, Mike Cernovich has got breaking news in the next segment, and Dr. Corsi as well. Infowars.com has some of the breaking news and battle plans to defeat the globalists. We do have a clip of Putin we're going to be playing here again at the start of the next segment. But continuing with the swamp creatures, their party lost everywhere. The claims that the Russians are the reasons that they lost, that's not holding water anywhere. But the deep state continues to push this, and now we've got some Republicans like Justin Amash, who needs to walk the plank out of conservatism, go out the airlock, and join the Democrats, the liberals, for himself.
Yeah, I think it's time to blow the airlock. To drain the swamp, you know, it takes a couple seconds for that drain. You blow that airlock, whew, they're out. You know what I'm saying? Just blow the airlock. Get these people out. But it is up to us. We need to help President Trump. Again, what can I do about a bunch of dumbass liberals out in the street protesting? You know what? Probably nothing. But if they don't have any pull in Congress, if they don't have any leaders in the Senate, then they have no say. They have no voice. They're just losers, just like their leading politicians. So that's why we need to drain the swamp. That's why we need people to run like Omar Navarro. That's why we need them people like Shiva, people like Sabato Jr., we need these people to hit the ground running hard now. We need to start pressing now. We need to start getting these people out now. We need to ensure victory now so that A, they can't steal it with a total rig job, but that B, we already have the mandate going in just like President Trump had. Let's recall, President Trump was already president before he won the election. He was already meeting with foreign leaders. He was already making moves. Businesses were already returning. That's the mandate that we can have again.
Exactly. Instead of just running as normal candidates, meet with people and talk about what you're going to do once you're congressman.
And that's what Omar Navarro is doing, and that's why I'm saying he is paving the way right now. I couldn't be more proud. He's my age. We need good people.
Protesting outside our house.
Yeah, he goes outside. We need good people to run for office, okay? We need well-meaning people who care about other people in their district.
No, I agree, but let's expand on that. You wanted to get into going out the other night and running into zombies everywhere.
So it's just, Alex, I'm deathly scared of, like, the herd mentality.
Millennials are into that.
And it's so palpable now more than ever because, and it's been so exposed. It doesn't matter. Here's what could happen.
Are you in the herd or you're not in the herd?
Here's what, well, and this is the thing I talked to Mike Cernovich about one time, too. It's like, you can see the difference, you know, on the conservative end of the spectrum, we have some disagreements. We see some different angles. You know, maybe we have different things we think are more important, but we're all on the same team. We all want to move the ball forward. We just maybe have a different idea of how we might get there, but we're still all on the same team. For them, there is no individualism. There is no individual think. There is no discernment. It's just herd think, herd mentality, and it's been so proven by anything Trump does is bad. This is what would happen, Alex, okay? Trump could save 100 children from a burning building, and what would the headline say? Trump killed, unfortunately, a cat died, so Trump killed a cat while saving kids from a burning building. Cat dies, Trump hates animals, or Trump kicked the cat on the way out of the building.
Well, it's the same thing when you go out to the events. None of them can talk. They only have chants. They say don't talk to them. It's a cult.
That's the chance thing. That's, I'm telling you, it's like starting to freak me out, to be honest with you. But that's why we can't, I don't care. As long as they're out in the streets.
It's like pod people.
As long as they're out in the streets doing that, you know what, just as long as they're not burning anything.
But as individuals, we're frightened by mindless chanting and no info. For followers, that's kind of fun.
Because they'll vote for Hillary Clinton. That's how stupid they are. They won't even look, Bernie Sanders, who I think is a total fraud, his wife is being investigated for bank fraud.
White people don't know what it's like to be poor.
The guy openly had the election stolen. Just ripped right out in front of him. Oh, and by the way, Alex, I don't know if you've covered this, but I'm actually working on finding the source of this and seeing if it's legit. Obviously, Seth Rich was the head of the IT at the DNC. There are rumors going that Seth Rich actually had intel on how exactly Hillary Clinton actually rigged these elections. He actually had these voter rolls that they doubled, and then they basically stole votes from Bernie Sanders and like broke the law by hiding the paperwork. Like I said, there's a letter going around right now. It's rumored that it was Seth Rich's girlfriend who put this letter out. Some people say it's his friend. Others say girlfriend.
Well, obviously, Hillary was like 40 points behind him everywhere. They just stole it.
Just stole it. Just stole it. And here's a Democrat who actually loves the country. So you know what they had to do? They had to kill him. I mean, how dare you? Don't you know?
I saw he died when she took over Libya and killed hundreds of thousands.
So I'm just curious. And look, there are, Democrats or liberals who actually see what happened with Seth Rich.
Can we play Place Boing when we come back in where she's going, arr, 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 and like.
They voted for that. They'd vote for it today.
Well, they like it. I mean, they see a big evil murderer and they feel powerful.
I mean, what the hell is that? How the hell do you get that brainwashed? How the hell do you get that stupid? You're in a herd think. You don't think for yourself. You're dead. You're already dead.
Like when they come up to me and go, you're a Russian agent. And like they're all powerful. And I'm like, what's your proof? Russian agent. They didn't realize how pathetic that is when they're globalist agents.
Ridiculous.
We'll be back with huge breaking news straight ahead. I'll get to the inside White House intel. Ladies and gentlemen, President Hillary Clinton. That's a liberal.
Look, we came, we saw.
You murdered the Christians.
He died.
She stole the Haitian money. Liberal.
We saw.
He died. Liberal.
Look,
The devil in the flesh.
we saw. He died.
That's pretty good, Alex. That might be too good. You might want to be careful with that.
Hillary wants to date me. By the way, totally took my bait in the media.
She's back, by the way. You know she's back. She got a new pack. Resist, persist,
It's not a
enlist.
matter. I take it
that's her new
really
pack.
seriously.
I'm a woman.
Bring her back. Run her again.
Vote for me because I'm a woman. One of my merits is
Vote for me because I have a brain tumor.
Vote for me because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman. Vote for me because I'm a woman. One of my merits is I'm a woman.
I can't even imagine where we'd be right now.
Because I'm a woman. Because I'm a woman.
A woman running to be the first
She would have already
woman
blown up a federal
president.
building.
Imagine anyone
At least.
being
Blame
more
it
of
on
an
us.
outsider than the first woman president.
More of an outsider than a woman president.
Well, I can't think of anything more of an outsider than electing the first woman president.
A woman president of the United States.
Well, you know what they say. You know, James Comey didn't want to indict her because he found his own suicide note in her emails.
Exactly.
So, you know, he had to step down.
Yeah.
Seth Rich, on the other hand, was a brave man.
Waging war
It's kind of
on
frightening.
corruption.
Her big open mouth
It's
coming at
Alex
us.
Jones coming to you live
That's what she
from
was
the
gonna
front
eat
lines
this
of the
country.
info war.
Hey, let's get serious. We got Mike Cernovich coming on. And we got Dr. Corsi with big breaking news. Just briefly, we've launched Emmerich's Essentials. It's 6 different personal care products at prices way lower you'll find anywhere else. It's a top 3 big national organic brand that has allowed us to private label it. That's why they recognize the bottles when you see it. We've just changed the names. 20% off retail and stores, 25% off additionally when you sign up for auto ship. That's 45% off out of the gates. Just the mouthwash is ounce for ounce the same price as regular mouthwash, but it's 10-to-1 concentrate. So that'll give you an example. It's the natural zinc oxide, not the nano that goes through your skin. So it's the healthy type, the very best out there at half the cost of leading competitors. The natural body wash, you name it. Emmerich's Essentials. And the name's spelled right. Wikipedia and all of them have it wrong. It's E-M-R-I-C-S. So it's Emmerich Essentials, Emmerich's Essentials. Infowarsstore.com, InfoWarsLive.com, or 888-253-3139. I want to thank you all for your support because we couldn't do it without you, but we're launching this whole new line. Sign up for auto ship, get 25% off. The other products is 10%. And we have shirts at cost, the entire Trump prints, Trump is my president, you name it shirts, Infowarsstore.com or 888-253-3139. Now, Mike Cernovich has big breaking news. I've sat on this for an hour and a half, not on purpose, but because I don't want to say all this wrong and I don't want to get it improper. When you get big breaking news, then the media tries to take any angle you get not exactly right and spin it. So I've been trying to confer during breaks. Where'd my phone go? Anyways. Oh, that's right. It's over there. Sorry. I left it in my office. The point is, this is a newsroom while you're on air. So I'm not complaining, but whenever there's a technical difficulty or Joel Skousen has something playing over his feed, I don't care because we're not like some so-called live Fox or CNN show where they get ready for 5-6 hours before. They call it live. Half of it's taped pieces, and then it's all scripted. No, this is really live, and this is really teleprompter free. So the train wreck is part of the good aspect of it to show you how real it is. But let me just... I'm not holding this to keep you listening. I just don't want to get this wrong. And I don't want to... some things are so big, I don't want to do them live. That's what I'm saying? So maybe I should have you take over. And I should go focus for about 10 minutes and try to calm down and then write some notes myself off the notes I've got and then kind of give this to you. But the country's in total civil war right now. The White House knows that there are foreign powers involved with the Democrats in the espionage. It's not the Russians. Let's just say that it's south of North Korea and it borders the South China Sea. I mean, there is a lot of craziness going on. This is such an epic moment historically. Let me just go to Cernovich with his breaking news. My God, everything we've talked about has been breaking a month later, a week later. And that's why we're so under attack. We have these sources. And now I've got this other bombshell news about the Civil War taking place. And it has to do with Fox News and so much more. Well, let's go to Mike Cernovich, one of the greatest investigative living journalists today. That's why they call him and myself the king of fake news. Mike, you're hosting the 4th hour already today, coming up in 22 minutes. Give us a little forte, a little hors d'oeuvre on what's coming up.
Yeah, so, you know, literally I'm 10 minutes late because I was breaking a story. I got official word. The Trump movement is over. in 120 days from when he was elected. It's almost over, and I'll tell you why. Johnny DeStefano is the guy's name, and he's head of personnel for Trump, and he's a never-Trumper. The current people who are actually pro-Trump people, they're on their Schedule C presidential employees. That only lasts for 120 days. That is being expired, and what I'm hearing is that in the personnel office and Johnny DeStefano in particular, they're not going to give them permanent positions. Fewer than 15%, 1-5, fewer than 15% of people who came in as temporary presidential Schedule C employees are being made permanent. So it's pretty much over in a few days, Alex. So that's how dire things are right now. I was told all the pro-Trump people are going to be shoved out. Only 15% of them are going to be made permanent. People have moved across the country, people who supported Trump, people who are on the base. So they said day 120, it's over for Trump, and that's when the GOP and Congress are going to move in and start with the impeachment stuff because the purge is on.
Now, we talked a few nights ago, and you talked to some of your high-level sources saying that the word was it was going to be over, that Trump's been totally encircled. You now talk to these folks. I know they've used the national security clearances to block patriots getting in. Hopefully, Trump gets this info, and there's a counter-firing that Colonel Schaefer and so many others have talked about where he removes these people. I mean, isn't this now do or die for Trump?
No, I mean, it's do or die for the whole movement because, as you know, personnel is policy. And what I've heard from multiple sources, they're now joking. It's not a joke. I mean, they're now kind of quipping at the White House. The only way to get within 100 feet of Trump in the White House is to have tweeted out that you were never Trump. That's how dire it's gotten. And now that these temporary people aren't going to be made permanent, they're just going to be gone. Johnny DeStefano, who was a never-Trumper, he was Brian Hook, another never-Trumper. They laundered all their never-Trump messages through their wives and other people. Those are the people who are running personnel out. So once these temporary appointees are out of there, Trump is going to have zero support, no loyalists, and then that's when the House GOP, the congressional GOP, is going to move in and take him out. So I don't know what to say. It really is do or die right now. This couldn't be any more dire.
Well, the word is Trump's getting ready to axe the upper-level leadership. What does he need to do specifically, Mike Cernovich, to kill this?
Get rid of Johnny DeStefano. His head of personnel, Google Johnny DeStefano. He's the head of personnel. He makes all of the personnel decisions. I realize, a lot of us, we talk about Reince Priebus and Spicer because they're the big celebrities. But the real power, I've told now, it isn't Reince Priebus anymore. Johnny DeStefano has more power than anyone else in the White House, probably than Trump himself, because this guy is bringing in like a Trojan horse. He is bringing in never-Trumpers into the White House. So who cares what happens with Reince Priebus? Doesn't matter. Sean Spicer, it doesn't matter. If the head of personnel and policy is going to send all the people who moved across the country and who supported Trump, if he's going to send them back home without a job in a couple of weeks, doesn't matter what happens with Reince Priebus or Spicer. That's the high profile. So I was actually told that a lot of the information we're getting about Priebus is a distraction from what's going on with Johnny DeStefano. He is actually the person with the most power, more power now than Reince Priebus himself.
And they're certainly moving on Trump right now. I'll go ahead and break down the information I got. Rupert Murdoch has been on the fence about Trump, and over the weekend talked to Trump on Sunday and decided to go ahead and warn Trump about the plans with the Democrats to turn over Fox News, to get rid of it, to go ahead and cull it out. But they see their ratings down by a third. They see that $1 billion being lost, and they know the Democrats have always been their enemies as well. So Murdoch's having second thoughts about turning the empire over to his sons and family, and warn Trump, fire everyone you've got in there and bring in people and follow Reagan's example and put in a bunch of patriots right now, or you're done. They are going to impeach you. So I've had this info for an hour and a half. Cernovich, I wanted him on separately today just to pop in because he's hosting the fourth hour. He's basically mirrored some of the info, but what I'm giving people is directly from the highest levels. One of the other things that Trump doesn't even know about, but has been confirmed by intel agencies, Jared Kushner met with the Russian ambassador in the middle of the campaign, long before Trump was even the presumptive nominee, in early 2016, even before Cleveland. And Trump never knew about this, that Kushner met with the Russian ambassador. And then when Trump comes out and says, none of my campaign ever met with him, well, the whole time it's Kushner feeding that. as a way to parlay things to the Morning Joe and others that he indeed is the ace card of the Russians. Jared Kushner is the double agent operative who is the only one that actually did meet. None of the Trump people did, and he's been the one feeding the intel the entire time, I guess wanting to get funding for his failed 666, Fifth Avenue building or whatever the rest of it is. But Jared Kushner is the person that did meet with the Russians and did discuss things and has been the point of contact, and Trump never even knew about that until about a month ago when Kushner said, I'm ready to testify to Congress about my Russian meetings. That was just to make him look clear and open later when Jared Kushner, through weakness or whatever, is one of the main moles that met with the Russian ambassador. And then again, Rupert Murdoch has decided to join with Trump because he believes it's a double cross to take down all conservatives, including Fox News entirely. And has told Trump he needs to have a sweeping purge right now or he will be destroyed when the personnel change comes over. I didn't exactly know what they meant by the big personnel change. I thought Trump was doing the sweep. They said, no, he got to do a total sweep to stop their complete takeover. And I didn't quite understand it. And then Cernovich, like, a key in a lock or a horse in a carriage, perfect storm, this all just came together.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And it isn't as sexy to a lot of people as the Sean Spicer, Reince Priebus thing, but that was the key. Is your sources were giving you great information as always, but the key was that they're all 100. Because you and I, we're not bureaucrats, so a lot of the stuff we hear, we're like, well, wait a minute.
A lot of it goes over our head.
Yeah. So the key is that if you look up and your production team can find it. It's called the Schedule C presidential employee. They're in there on 120-day terms.
Yeah, they're transitional, and then if they don't all get authorized and approved, they're gone.
Exactly. And there is somewhere between 800 and 1,200 of them. Fewer than 15% have been made permanent. So that is Johnny DeStefano's silent coup. That's why the fake news media won't cover it, because they're controlled by deep state. So I want people, I don't know if we need to call the Office of Personnel Policy, Alex. We need to jam their phone lines. I don't know if there's a line, a phone number or something. We need to jam their phone lines.
You can call the White House and ask to be routed to the Office of Personnel Management.
Yeah, we need to get on the phones, because
I was about to say that. Everybody needs to call Congress, call the White House, tweet at the president, retweet, get it all up to him. When he out at the rallies, let him know that we understand that he is the titular head of the Liberty Movement. They want to destroy him as an example to everybody. You're going to be covering all this more in 15 minutes in detail. Mike Cernovich, an amazing investigative journalist. And again, it's not even fun to have his sources or our sources. This is real. This is dangerous. This is hardcore, the level we've gotten to. And it's just getting crazier and crazier and crazier. And there's very few patriots in. They're very high level. And Trump is just completely surrounded. He's got to know they are going to get these people in where he has no protection. They're going to leak a bunch of lies, and they're going to destroy him. He is hopping mad. He wants him out. He wants a purge. The problem is none of them will follow his orders to even do it. So Mike Cernovich, we'll be following you coming up in the fourth hour today. If stations out there aren't carrying the fourth hour, a lot of them do. Infowars.com/show. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this is so real and so sickening and so painful that I don't have any personal ties to Trump other than I've talked to him, 10 times or whatever. It's just I know he's real. He cares about the country. He's surrounded by scum. It's like watching a baby getting eaten by 100 rats or something. And because we won't empower the president, he's like a baby. He can't move because he can't do it all himself. And the rats are like eating him. It's not like a lion being eaten by hyenas. It's worse. It's a baby, the rebirth of America, being eaten by these little red-eyed rats. And he's just surrounded. We need a battle plan. So Dr. Corsi was texting me this morning, saying we got to get a battle plan. We got to get on the offensive. And I was saying, yeah, battle plan, battle plan. So he's writing articles about this. This is just so crazy. But they're all in. The globalist leftists are all in. What is your intel there as our D.C. head and Dr. Corsi? What do we do to turn this tide? Because it's clear more than ever. They are making their run at the president right now.
Well, and Alex, what I'm doing is the first article is today. I mean, this is something I've been specially trained in, this whole issue of disinformation and propaganda. I actually was trained by Edward Bernays, who is the father of public relations. And he wrote a book called Propaganda in the 1930s that was responsible for the Goebbels propaganda and the rise of Nazi Hitler. And so, Nazi Germany. And what I'm saying is I'm laying out the techniques that work and don't work when you're under a disinformation propaganda technique. This has been studied. There's rules. And if Trump follows these rules, he's going to win. Now, the first rule, and what I wrote up today, is that the idea is you create a false narrative, a meme. And this meme is Russian collusion. You know, Trump,
and you just keep propping that lie up.
And yes, and there's no evidence for it. Okay, we've had repeated statements from Senator Feinstein, who May 4th.
Sure, there's no evidence. I mean, we've got that.
There's no evidence.
We got that from Schiff, all of them.
Yeah, and you know what? But that doesn't defeat the meme, because you see, Schiff then says, well, it's not a meme. There's circumstantial evidence, and we may have not discovered it yet, but we're going to find it. So a meme, a lie, a propaganda disinformation campaign is not defeated by information or the truth. It's a hard point to get across. But I mean, if you take a look and you say that Hitler's attacking the Jews under these...
Sure, it's like Saul Alinsky. It's hard to defeat him just debating him with the facts.
Yeah, and the more facts you adduce, even if you're right, it just extends the argument.
It adds the snowball. Instead, you circumvent and attack the fact that Alinsky's a piece of crap.
Right, and so, you know, the basic corollaries are that, you know, if you take a look at it, dealing with it, first is the facts are not going to work because they just say you're part of a conspiracy theory, that you don't believe the truth of the Russian collusion story. So they demonize you and you become part of a conspiracy theory. And second, the second corollary is basically that, you know, no matter how anyone who attempts to prove this, who tries to stand up and say, wait a minute, you know, it was Hillary that was part of the being paid over the uranium, or it was Podesta being paid in stock over this company, Jolie. Well, now you're just part of the conspiracy theory, and the mainstream media is never going to report anything that's contrary to the meme that is being put out, the narrative by the deep state and the mainstream media, who are determined to set this lie.
Exactly. So you were trained to be able to counter these type of foreign government operations. We did work for the State Department. First time we ever talked about this, I know you were involved in it. You've also written best-selling books that have affected elections, so you're an expert on using what was the ultimate propaganda weapon, truth. But how do we deal with memes, total manufactured false reality paradigms? Because if you debate the false paradigm, you add energy and power to it. How do you circumvent it?
Well, first of all, I mean, the first point I'm writing in this article is that you've got to understand that you're not going to beat this by facts. You're not going to beat it by proving that it was wrong. That never makes it go away to the true believers of the meme, to the lie.
I say we get on the offense with all the crimes they've committed and go after them.
Yeah, it's no amount of, you know, so let's go after Hillary. Let's go after Podesta. This is not true. There's no evidence. The meme still continues. Now, the subsequent articles, what I'm going to show is how you gain control of the narrative again, how you recapture the narrative, take it out of the hands of the deep state, and how you take it over from the mainstream media. What Trump is not doing very well right now is he's not managing the news. Trump has lost control of the news.
He used to be on the news constantly. They've told him to be presidential, give up your phone, back off so they can eat him alive. What does Trump need to do right now?
Well, the first thing, the next article is going to be, I'm just drafting it now, we'll have it up tomorrow, is that Trump has got to basically take over the narrative by impacting, doing something that changes the narrative altogether. For instance,
he's trying by saying jobs and you know,
yes,
stopping terror, but he needs to, how does he change the narrative on this specifically?
Well, let me give you an example.
Like indict Hillary Clinton?
I want to give you an example. I don't want to completely give away the article from tomorrow. I want to do this step by step so it sinks in. But when Trump, for instance, had the missile attack, the cruise missile attack on Syria, everything about Russia stopped.
That was an example of how he changed the subject.
He changed the subject. And Trump has got to figure out some ways. And I'm going to give tomorrow's article a whole series of effective ways in which Trump can change the subject. Now, this is really a methodology. I'm laying out a plan. I mean, this is stuff that's been proven. The State Department has done it. It's been proven by the experts in the CIA. I've studied it for 30, 40 years. How you basically change the subject, silence the press, get some time to reorganize the government, and take control of
I agree. We'll all be tuned in tomorrow when you're here and read the next article. Give us the name of the current article you wrote today. Which one should we point out to folks?
Well, the one that's up there right now, the deep state mainstream media pushes a coup d'etat against Trump, that the elites want him impeached.
That needs to go totally viral.
It's important to understand that the purpose of this meme, the reason this whole Russian collusion argument is being advanced, is the deep state and the mainstream media think it's the kind of a big lie, a Hitler big lie. You know, the Jews are behind a conspiracy destroying Germany. The Jews are a deficient race, eugenics, all a lie. But that lie can be made into a big enough false truth.
A whole new cosmology.
Yes. And that's what will take down Trump. That's the bet. That's the gambit.
And they're betting everything they got on it.
And what I'm saying is, first of all, you're not going to defeat this false NEM, this lie, by proving it's untrue. Because that just reinforces...
No, I agree, because we argue all day. Well, it's like the other big lie. Oh, he gave the Russians secrets. No, it was all laptop news known 2 months ago. But then we just debate it. They don't care. They want to engage us in their false paradigm.
And that's right. As soon as we're debating it, we lose. As soon as we debate it,
so we just say you're a bunch of traitorous liars, and we move on to the fact that he's trying to turn the economy back on, and you just... I mean, I know you want to get to your ideas tomorrow, but give us a little prelude.
Well, I mean, tomorrow it's basically, I'm going to propose a series of steps that Trump can take, which would change the subject. And you've got one coming up. He's going to take this foreign trip, which is going to be a major foreign trip.
Hey, why doesn't he just arrest some Russian spies? Because, I mean, sad for the Russians, but they got, you know what, they got spies here. Why not just, like, arrest some of them or something?
I don't know, maybe it's because...
I mean, maybe that feeds into it, though.
Some have been murdered.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, what?
You've got to go outside the theme. You've got to get
No, I agree. That's why I said that. So what's outside the theme? You bust Hillary for being a Chinese agent? We know that. That's true.
No, but these are all within the same kind of refuting the evidence argument. You got to leapfrog it. You got to forget about the
total new universe.
You change it by saying, okay, we're going on a foreign trip. You know, there's a whole series of steps he can take. I'm going to discuss some foreign policy steps he can take. I'm going to discuss some executive orders. There's steps and ways that he can gain control of the narrative, the agenda. He's got to make the deep state and the mainstream media follow him rather than lead him. And right now they're leading him with this.
And he's always been great on that. Why, once he suddenly got in 50, 60 days, did suddenly he stop leading the narrative? What happened?
Well, they're very good at this, the mainstream media. And they laid the trap. Hillary laid the trap, saying that it was the Russians who did it. You know, even the evidence that the Seth Rich had 44,000 emails to WikiLeaks. That doesn't refute the Russian collusion argument. You can't win that argument with the propagandist. You're not going to win on that one. They're going to win that. They're going to beat you. They're going to convince, you know, the people who hate you that, you know, the Jews are all evil and we need to kill them all. It's a complete lie. It's total propaganda. It's evil. But that's the same nature of argument that the Russian collusion argument fits into, and you can't beat it logically. You can't beat it with facts.
I agree. You only beat it by pointing out what the globalists are actually doing and making it an issue of what they've done with our own narrative. So what of all the things they're doing that are harmful, what are the true narratives that we go after them on? I say this, they're trying to plunge the economy. I knew last night this was going to plunge the economy. I said it.
Alex, there's no argument you can use that will win. You have to transcend argument. There's not going to be magic formula. There's not going to be an argument that's a magic bullet. They're set up to beat every argument you could advance against this NEM. You know, so when they go down the Goebbels path of proving that the Jews are a deficient race and they've all got to be killed, which was a horrendous, horrible, evil idea, it couldn't be stopped with arguments about the brilliance of Einstein.
It had to be stopped with bombs?
It's got to be stopped by techniques.
No, I know. I'm just saying we had to end up, it went too far. It had to be military. Yeah, so we'll talk about those techniques tomorrow. When do you want to come on? We're on 11 to 3 Central, 12 noon to 4 p.m.?
On early tomorrow. I want to come on early tomorrow.
All right, how about 12:30 Eastern?
That's good. We'll do that.
Well, I got to tell you, Trump's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But isn't it proof how good he is, how all the evil people hate him?
And if we follow through this, we're going to lay out a plan that Trump can follow, and I guarantee he's going to listen to it and he's going to hear it.
Hey, let me ask you this when we come back, because I talked to some sources. We'll do 5 more minutes with you, and Cernovich is coming up. We'll host a little bit with Cernovich, though. let me ask you this when we come back. The word is Rupert Murdoch is now decided to join with Trump. That's the word. He's finally, for some reason, is going to flip back. Something's happened. Now, is that disinfo? It comes from the White House.
FBI investigation was into Fox. That might have stopped.
So people don't care if the stock market crashes. They don't have jobs. They don't care if it's all lies. At least our listeners care. We're talking about the people that don't. So Dr. Corsi's talking about how we wake up people with a whole other narrative that's truth-based but circumnavigates this lie. But separately, I've got White House sources that say that Trump never knew until recently that indeed Kushner had met with the Russian ambassador early in the campaign, a year and a half ago, or almost a year and a half ago, early 2016. We know the Russian bank met, but now it's the ambassador. That's a separate issue. Then we've got the other intel from the White House that Rupert Murdoch has told Trump on a Sunday phone call, you need to fire almost everybody and stop this personnel takeover that's about to happen. And that Fox has been on the fence about all this, but now I think Fox sees a third of their viewers being lost. This claim by his sons they could convert to liberal garbage and still keep their viewers failed. But all I was given was the Kushner information and the information about the situation with the president, and now that Rupert Murdoch saying, look, I'm on your side. Is that BS? Why would he say that? But it is good advice he's giving Trump. What do you make of this, Dr. Corsi?
Well, I think that's all good advice. And I think what's happening with Murdoch is that Murdoch has realized that he's not going to capture a liberal audience. There is no liberal audience. MSNBC has got the entire audience. I mean, you know, when you think about it, Alex, you've got the leaders in the cable network drawing about 600,000 people. I mean, InfoWars is a major challenge on net streaming.
We conservatively have 1 million viewers an hour.
Precisely. And, you know, this is what's not recognized. The left, between MSNBC and CNN, how are you going to get further left than these two? And the idea that you can have Sky News, which I've watched many times in Europe and in the Great Britain, you know, is okay, but it's international pablum. It's you know, it's like listening to National Public Radio, all things considered. You know, it's got a nice little sweet harmony to it, but it's not the news people want. People want InfoWars. They want conservative, libertarian analysis. They want the truth.
And more importantly, they want real analysis, not being fed BS. We talk to the listeners just like it's us talking, high-level analysis. It's not, we tell you how it is like you're 5 years old.
Not hive mind.
Well, and what I'm giving you here in these articles I'm going to write is the most internal, highly classified generally, except I'm not using classified information, but these are techniques that were developed by the CIA, by the State Department, by intelligence agencies going back to the 50s and 60s.
I was about to say, I mean, I knew you did a lot of this work, but I never, why are you telling people now? It shows how much trouble the country's in.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm bringing it out today because I think if Trump doesn't understand these principles, the left will have him impeached because they're using the techniques.
And that's what Colonel Schaefer, who knows this classified stuff, said as well. He said, we're in a total info war. They plan to bring him down. He's got to fight back.
And he's got to fight back with techniques that work, not just, you know, yes, let's bring out the truth. Let's counter all this with the fact that, you know, Hillary, et cetera. But Comey has not ever prosecuted a single leaker. Okay, there's been dozens of them. It's a politicalization of the...
But we are coming down to George Washington level disinfo. I've never used disinfo or lies. The country's on its last legs. The Democrats admit they're using lies. They've said that in the New York Times. Are you saying we're finally getting to the point where we just absolutely take the gloves off at that point?
Yeah, we're taking the gloves off by beating them with techniques that they have no way to respond to. In other words, rather than playing their game, we're going to use what's been proved over 50 or 60 years to be the only way to counter propaganda. The Democrats are just like the Nazis. They're engaged in a propaganda technique.
They really are.
It's disinformation. It's the same thing the Russians did, Soviets did. It's disinformation. And disinformation is very powerful, and it's very tough to defeat. You have to use the right techniques. They want you to argue with it on facts. They want you to say there's no information to prove it. That won't stop them. That just fuels them.
It's like a slow Morris attack. They just keep repeating the lie and control you by making you in judo engage them. To 11 a.m., 12 noon tomorrow, Dr. Corsi. We can't wait. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Great. My pleasure.
Yeah, the White House sources today green-lighted me to talk about something I learned a few days ago, and I was given a lot of other information, but I want to have phone calls before I release all this. Jared Kushner met with the Russian ambassador during transition, White House officials say. That's the LA Times, and this comes from a few months ago. But Trump, he lied to Trump reportedly and said this wasn't true. Then Trump got briefed a few weeks ago. That was the case. That's why we haven't seen Kushner back at his side or back. I mean, Trump has just been betrayed by all these weak personalities. And Trump's totally surrounded. Mike Cernovich, we're riding shotgun for one more segment, and then we're going to let him take over. Owen Schroyer and myself broke all this down, that they are about to kick out all the new people that were transitional, that they haven't gotten security clearances, you name it. So he's going to recap all of that. But talking to Corsi earlier about how you counter complete lies when they don't care what the facts are, they keep moving forward. Is this being done out of a desperation move? A, and then B, Cernovich. Mike Cernovich joins us, co-hosting. What happens if they win? I mean, they've said, shut down the free press. They've said in major publications, we're going to have a new election run by COG. Congress isn't legitimate. The shadow government declares Congress illegitimate. They're run by the Russians, they claim. We have new elections run by Homeland Security. Anyone who was elected, who's a Republican, of course, they lose their seat. This is all being proposed. This is outrageous. This is outrageous. Everyone in Congress, everyone who has half a brain knows you do not roll over to this witch hunt by an out-of-power party that almost everyone hates, that's losing all the state houses, that is about to become a regional party on the coastlines, who is in crisis. But you've got so many wimpy Republicans, they want to be the ones that are left alone, the Glenn Becks, everybody, and the Megyn Kellys, and so, and the, Paul Ryans, that they are going along with this. Trump has to understand offense is the best defense. Mike Cernovich.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to Shauna, my lovely wife. We were watching Get Me Roger Stone for the third time. And I noticed something, that every highlight in that movie about the really effective moves Trump's made didn't come from his official campaign. Bringing the rape victims of Bill Clinton to the debate, that didn't come from the campaign. Exposing Hillary's health, that came from Paul Joseph Watson.
And you. No, it all came from us. It all came from the grassroots.
Right. Nothing came from his actual team.
And by the way, we don't want credit. We're just pointing out what works. We're not trying to hide our political skill with the truth. We're saying use it.
Well, that's the whole point. Is actually, I was talking to somebody earlier, and a reporter is doing a big story on General Flynn. And she goes, do you have a comment? And I said, we're still talking about General Flynn 6 months later. Firing General Flynn was Trump's first catastrophic mistake. It showed weakness. It showed him that we will let the fake news media dictate personnel. That was a catastrophic error. That was like smashing into the line. You don't give these people an inch. You double down.
That was putting blood in the water.
Yeah, and ever since then, it's been downhill. Ever since they fired General Flynn, it has been blow after blow after blow. And it's frustrating for people like us, truth tellers, to know that we could run things. All they have to do is do what we tell them to do. I don't want to go work for Trump. I could not work for him. I don't like to work for anybody. I could tell them what to do. All they have to do is listen to us. Quit apologizing.
Because we don't come from the inside, just like he's in business. We just want the country back. We actually study how it works, not how all the butt kissing goes on.
Well, that's it. You asked Mike, you said, what does it mean if they win? It means we've lost our country. It means we're not in control anymore. It means that we have a continuity of government that's taken over for the republic. That's what it means. And
it says we're all suspect Russians when they're the multinational force, the outside alien force, effing us over.
And that's why it pisses me off so much. That's why it pisses you off so much, because here we are fighting for the country. It shouldn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or a conservative. It shouldn't matter. These people are trying to take our republic away.
And if you want to know,
undermine a vote.
And exactly, Owen. And if you want to know how overwhelmingly authoritarian they are, they got a good shot at winning peacefully, but they want their underground revolution ready. Their main operating system is kill cops randomly while they pump gas or write somebody a speeding ticket. And people go, oh, you kissed the cop's ass now. I got a lot of problems with cops. I don't want to randomly blow their heads off for no reason, like any other group I don't want to kill. I mean, this is such a lawless scumbag group, and we're supposed to sit here, and I'm just saying this. I'm not looking for trouble. I don't want authoritarian stuff like they do. I want to win free market. But if they think, let me just extrapolate. If they think they lost this election, they have some coup d'etat, they take over, they actually trying to grab all us and stuff, they have no idea what's going to happen. They've taken our restraint for weakness when it's not, it's strength. And they, let me tell you, they're going to lose any way you slice it. I want you to talk about that, Owen, and then Cernovich. So I'm going to turn this over to Cernovich.
Well, like I said, I think that the numbers of the never Trumpers or the people out and protesting in the street, they're getting fewer and far between. They're dwindling. We have to push forward. We have to have Trump's back. Trump is going to do what he's going to do. He's going to be in the swamp. He's dealing with these people. We have to do what we have to do. We have to elect the right people. We have to get the truth out there. And that's what Mike is talking about.
We ought to be armies of one. And this morning, I was making phone calls to my different congressional sources, military sources, and I was sitting there and I was talking to this, one fella, and I said, "What do we do?" And he goes, "Exactly what Cernovich said a month ago at dinner with you." And the fellow was there, and he goes, we hit the streets, we get aggressive.
We have to realize,
and you know what, if we don't do that, and we're not looking for trouble, but a liberal punches us in the face, we break their nose.
We have the power.
You know, it's time to get aggressive in defense and to stop rolling over and giving all these little beta males the signal that we're going to roll over. No, we're not. Cernovich?
Yeah, I'm at the point now, I'm actually writing an article, and this might bother a lot of people who watch me and watch you, but my loyalty is never been to Trump. My loyalty is to people who are supporting you at InfoWarsStore.com, the people who are reading great books like Guerrilla Mindset, the people who want the truth. And I'm actually writing an article called, "Is the Movement Moving On from Trump?" And a lot of people might not want to hear that, but I'm sick of these beta males he has in the White House.
No, we should. We should have a discussion, because Trump's only a vehicle of liberty. And we love him, that's great, but we're not stopping. We're running for office, we're politically involved, we're writing books, we're not rolling over to a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm working on it, because one thing I noticed is I threw the biggest event of Inauguration Week, the Deplorable, and everybody was like, Trump, Trump. It became a mini rally. Then I threw another big event in D.C., the Bull Moose Party, very, very, very pro-Trump. Then I attended a recent event in D.C., the Real News Party, hosted by Gateway pundit Jim Hoft, who, by the way, really likes you, and we should talk to him one day. He's a great guy.
Sure, let's get him on.
And the enthusiasm for Trump is waning, and what I heard from people talking to me is they're looking for leadership, and they actually go, Cernovich, I don't know what Trump's doing. What are we going to do now?
Let me stop you. Exactly. If I'm selling 500 Trump shirts a day, they get down to 40, 50. But the thing is, it's the winter patriot. He's trying to get stuff done. He's under attack. It isn't all just magical now. It's not that we need Trump as the vehicle, because if they bring him down, they're going to have the bureaucracy and the executive. We need to hold him up as long as possible, or hopefully longer strategically. I get it's not as fun and trendy now to be pro-Trump. This is the time to be pro-Trump while we run for office, while we launch new websites, and while we run other operations. I'm telling you, my gut tells me, Mike, we got to prop Trump up.
Well, he's got to come to us too, Alex. That's the reality. The reality is we got him elected. We push the stories. We dictate the narrative. We drive the news cycle. Media Matters has people watching right now. They've transcribed every conversation we have. They download every video. They're not afraid of the White House communications team. They're not afraid of what's coming out of Sean Spicer's mouth, that baited dork, right? They're afraid of us. Well, why aren't we pushing the message? Why? So if Trump doesn't want to listen to us, look, I'm nobody's squire.
No, I agree with you. We need to get our message out to everybody and not just make it Trumpy, and we don't rise and fall with Trump. All I'm saying is the enemy wants to bring him down.
Well, then he needs to realize who has his back and who doesn't. We had his back. He needs, like you even called me, I don't want to, talk about too much, but when that story about the Comey memos hit and this stuff hit, as I said, Alex, I'm glad. I want him to get battered and realize.
You said we need a bloody Trump. Only a bloody Trump will save America.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad he got punched in the face. He can get punched in the face more. And then he goes, well, wait a minute. Where'd Cernovich go? Where'd Alex Jones go? Where'd Roger Stone go? Where'd the base go? Where'd my Twitter people go? And he's going to look around and see a bunch of beta males around him, vile grovelers who grovel like worms to the media. And then he's going to realize, all right, man, it's time to get real. It's time to bring in the real fighters. Time to get the real soldiers in the game. That is going to be how we're going to win.
Well, make no mistake, Soros knows we're the enemy. They know we can't be bought. We don't back down. It's because I'm not a scumbag like them. I'm not even that good of a person. But I mean, I'm not out to hurt people. I'm not signing on to the Muslims, cutting women's genitals off, and raping everybody and putting hoods on heads. I'm done. There's only so far I'll put up with. And so the thing is, it's very empowering to not care anymore. It's very empowering to just say the line is the sand. And look, I'm just telling you, Trump is so surrounded by scum and liars. And I'm just telling you, we need to pray for Trump because he's a figurehead. But I get the fact we need to get our message out, but explain, hey, he's not perfect. We're not a Trump movement. But so I think in between what you're saying and what I'm saying, we kind of need to find a middle ground. You got any comments on that?
Well, I was just curious, Mike. I actually had a question for you. I'm sure that you're going to be breaking down John DeStefano later on, the John Boehner holdover. But I'm curious, this story was just published on the Washington Examiner that Trump is considering Joe Lieberman for FBI
Oh, my
director. God. I'm curious if you have any intel on that.
I haven't heard yet that they're keeping that really. They don't want people to know who's that going to be, so I haven't heard any information like that. But look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Alex, I love you. I love the people listening in. Trump he's a billionaire alpha male. I don't want to hear that Trump is surrounded by these scum. Hey, he's got to own it. He's got to look around and say, these people are pathetic. I can't be around the stench of these people. I need to bring in the real players. I need to bring in the real. Here's the problem.
He doesn't know, and a Lieberman will say, I will be loyal, Mr. President.
But I think there also could be another. I think there could be another angle here where he's trying to drain the swamp by putting out fake intel leaks like this, saying, yeah, I'm considering Joe Lieberman. And then that little rat runs out and tells the media. And then he's like, boom, caught ya. When he was never.
No, I agree. He did that. Lieberman. That's what he was doing with the whole thing with Mitt Romney.
Yeah, and he did that with I think he's done that with a couple other things as well.
Well, let's just not forget, Trump killed TPP. He has cut the UN funding by half. He's got $3 trillion in the stock market. What message does that send, Cernovich, that the stock market went down massively the day after they tried to impeach him?
Well, that's the thing that is why, again, we keep circling back to this point, which is I will never regret what we did for Trump, and I'll always be proud of what we did. We gave the world a little bit, a couple more years maybe. Hillary Clinton, we'd already be in World War III. The Supreme Court would be ruined. There would be hate.
Sure, we did it for the right reason, and it bears some good fruit, but it's not perfect.
Exactly. The flip side to that, though, is the revolution's over May 23rd if these temporary employees aren't made permanent. And Johnny DeStefano, actually, I sent an article to the, Nico, who's just amazing, and your whole team is amazing. He even wrote an article in USA Today saying, well, we're taking our time because we want the best people. No, he's stalling it out.
Because he knows they've got Obama people already in.
Exactly, right. And McMaster, I'd actually, another article, make the NSC Democrat again. McMaster has been remaking the National Security Council into a Democratic stronghold. Hey, man, this is all happening. All right, I'm not going to.
Hey, did you get any more intel on McMaster? Because ours was, it was NSA leaked. We think McMaster's the guy. Who is the leaker? Was it him or a staffer?
It was McMaster because he's the only person who had all of the details that was needed. So that story is a huge one because what was leaked. Because, you called me, we talked right when that story broke, and you were like, what's your take on it? And I told you, well, I called around to all my sources, and everybody was freaking out, and I'll tell you why they were freaking out. Trump didn't talk about what was leaked to the Washington Post. So what was leaked to the Washington Post was actually a major national security breach. There's a big investigation going on right now. It's a huge one because that was actually national security risk. The only person
That's right. What they leaked, Trump supposedly did was real intel, but Trump didn't leak it.
No, Trump in the meeting goes, hey, did you guys know that there's a plot to put bombs on your laptops?
That's been in 1,000 newspapers for 2 months.
Right. He didn't leak where he got it because he didn't know. He was never.
But instead, they leaked where we got it to further burn him, to make it look like he gave out that intel. And again, that's why he's pissed at Comey. Comey would never go after them because he's a Democratic Party butt boy.
Exactly right. So what was leaked to the Washington Post had everybody I talked to, they were rattled because they said, Cernovich, this is going to damage our relationship with our partners. But Trump didn't leak it. Trump didn't have those details. No president is given that granular detail about every raid. You couldn't get it. You just like you. I mean, you have 65 employees. There could be people in some broom closet right now doing God knows what, right? You can't keep track of every detail of everything that happens in every day. Same thing with the president. So he's not briefed on those details. The only
500 times worse with the president.
McMaster.
It's 500 times worse for the president. What's your gut tell you? Will the president survive this? Because here's the deal. They bring him down. He's like a storm wall, a firewall. They bring him down. I get we go forward with our movement. They are not going to just let us sit here. They want to destroy us. So in a way, he's like a shield. I'm not throwing the shield down. I mean, it's actually self-serving, I'll be honest. My defense of the president is for my own family. Do people not get he's like the storm wall? I mean, you know, we need him.
Well, I was going to leave the country, actually. If Hillary Clinton had won, I would not be living in America because it
I didn't want to, but I was advised by high-level sources that was where they were going to green light stuff against me.
I know multiple veterans that were going to do the same.
So again, don't we defend Trump because he's the storm wall?
Oh, I'm not anti-Trump, but the flip side to that is it is our job to, in leadership, right? Our job is to also hold our leaders accountable and let them know, hey, I'm not some stooge. Alex Jones isn't your stooge.
No, we're not rubber stamps like the Democrats that don't care if Hillary's a warmonger or, you know, ripping people off in Haiti. I mean, I get it. I'm just saying Trump's done so much good that, I mean, I can't even run my own life half the time, and I'm pretty well competent and focused. I can't imagine how he's doing it. I mean, well, look, because he has a bunch of dishonorable trash.
Look at the difference between the Democrats, and Trump said this constantly during his campaign, saying, I'm so much smarter than these people. I'm not even bragging. These people are just dumb. They're not very smart. Look at, it's so clear to me. Look at the Democrats. Okay, Trump has a meeting, and he's talking, and he says, hey, guys, have you heard? They're putting bombs in laptops now. They're making battery bombs. They're putting in laptops. This is crazy. What's going on? He just kind of brings it up in jest. Democrats freak out. They throw their hands in there. Oh, my God.
They didn't even know it'd been in the news for 2 months.
Meanwhile, this is how smart Trump is. Trump puts out a message saying, boy, I hope that James Comey doesn't put out his notes because I've got tapes. Boom. He just checkmated
3 days before.
Checkmate. James Comey just got checkmated. And then I'm telling you, Trump is putting out fake leaks to find holes in his ship. Trump, again, whether you like him or not, he is so much smarter than his opposition.
I love him.
And he is just crushing them on the ground level.
Yeah, so Cernovich, what about that? What about how he's showing the leaks? Is
Sheriff Clark actually, I just got a text message, Sheriff Clark might be joining the administration. Is that breaking news?
That's good news. Let's look it up. That's Google Sheriff Clark.
I'm getting information from sources that Sheriff Clark.
Well, all I know is you heard this too. Trump's planning this giant purge. You say, though, the purge is already happening by the enemy below. How will those two purges interact?
Well, I don't know. If it's true about Sheriff Clark joining the administration, then that would be Trump doing what I and Roger Stone had talked about, which is Sheriff Clark will go in and just start chopping heads off.
He's very smart, very articulate, very charismatic.
You know what he calls the left now? Did you see his most recent speech? Can I say it on air?
Sure.
The rat bastards. That's what he calls them. Rat bastards. And he didn't just say it like in passing. He went on for 5 minutes talking about how these people are rat bastards. You don't think he's going to get in and...
No, they want to destroy prosperity. They hate truthfulness. Like, I love Trump outgoing. Of course I fired him over this made-up Russian crap. They're like, oh, my God, you just admitted obstruction of justice. No, it's made-up crap.
But again, that's how smart he is. He fires Comey, who the Democrats said was incompetent and untrustworthy. You would say, okay, well, then having that FBI director would be an obstruction of justice. He's incompetent. He's untrustworthy. I'm going to fire him. You're obstructing justice.
Let me ask Cernovich this.
The untrustworthy, incompetent FBI director we wanted fired.
And
what the hell?
In the next month or so, Cernovich will have his own 3-hour shows. You won't just be interrupted by us here for an hour, but it's interesting talk. What do you make of Rupert Murdoch? We have this directly from the White House, calling Trump and saying, look, I've decided to join with you. I've been flip-flopping, but they are planning to destroy you. And I guess he's been told he'll be destroyed now. They're not going to just let him kind of halfway sell out because we know they got dirt on Murdoch. You need to fire your whole upper echelon and, like you said, bring in good people. What does that intel mean to you? Did you have any information on that?
Well, so what had happened with Fox is the Rupert Murdoch sons are just betas and they're completely owned by their wives who are more liberal. And so Fox is going to be a liberal network. And we all know that. So Fox is done. My perspective on that is that Trump needs to be watching InfoWars live streams in the White House. Trump needs to be live streaming this stuff on YouTube, our periscopes. He doesn't need to be watching Fox News anymore. Those people are out of touch. They don't get votes. They don't bring people.
Well, exactly. You know, Fox viewers were down 30-something% in the election. They're down another 30 now. In fact, MSNBC and CNN are now beating Fox for the first time in 20 years. What? I mean, look at that. It's crazy.
Well, they're out of touch. They're not patriots, and people realize that they're just going to become a liberal light network, and that's just the way it's going to be. Whatever. The point is, though, this is a good opportunity for InfoWars and for Cernovich and Roger Stone and everybody else, the independent people, to keep rising up, because people tell me now, they go, I used to watch Fox News. But now I just watch you on the Alex Jones show because that's so much more informative than what I'm getting in
I
those
don't want to
little
brag, but I mean, I walk around the street now and people are listening all around. I mean, it's gotten crazy. I don't know how we have this many audience. All right, Cernovich, I'm going to turn this over to you. Thank you so much, my friend. Briefly, we've launched Emmerich's Essentials that they demonize as selling high-quality supplements. Maybe they'll call shampoo and concentrated 10-to-1 mouthwash and one of the top national organic brands, snake shampoo, because, we're not allowed to sell anything. We're not allowed to sell gold coins. It's evil. We're not allowed to sell books. It's evil.
Stop selling it so cheap.
The media, I was about to say, this is a big national brand. It's 20% off what it is in Whole Foods, 25% off on top of that when you sign up for auto ship as an introductory offer. Our regular auto ship's 10% off. It's all available at InfoWarsStore.com. We have a bunch of group packs. It is the super natural sunscreen that is the regular size or organic based. It's not organic; it's not life form. It's natural base of zinc, not the nano zinc. For the sunscreen, the 10-to-1 mouthwash, the natural body wash, the shampoo, the natural bug spray. It works BOA. InfoWarsStore.com, 888-253-3139. And the media all demonized. He sells shampoo and mouthwash, and he sells toothbrushes. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead. No,
I was going to say, your children should be given these products because it's been proven that girls now are reaching puberty much younger than before. And young boys are actually having gyno. They're having, I'm not going to say what it's called, but it's BITCH tits now because of the hormonal disruption. That has caused.
That's right. That's why we've got organic systems with a plastic that doesn't have it all
bug spray? Man, that bug spray they put out is so toxic, Alex. That's huge.
Yeah, it's Emmerich's Essentials, my middle name, and it helps fund the InfoWar. Thank you all for your support. Mike Cernovich coming up. Coming to you live from Southern California, one of the top investigative journalists in the world, Mike Cernovich.
Rallying patriots worldwide in defense of human liberty. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Yeah, and Mike Cernovich is taking over, but I just can't ever get away from a live microphone. I had them pull this clip an hour ago. We never played it. Here is Putin making jokes about all this craziness earlier today in a press conference, and then Mike Cernovich will comment on that. We're going to skip the break coming up later so Mike has more time. But here is this clip so Mike can respond.
Начинается церемония подписания. Придется объявить ему замечание, выговор, потому что он с этими секретами с нами не поделился. Ни со мной, ни с представителями спецслужб России.
He says neither me nor the representatives of Russian intelligence services. It was very bad of him because Trump didn't give us any info. Moreover, if the United States administration finds it's possible, we are ready to provide a record of the Trump-Lavrov talks. To the U.S. Congress and Senate, of course, it is the U.S. administration wants it. But at the same time, we see that political schizophrenia is developing in the United States. It is mental illness. And I cannot find any other explanation for accusation that Donald Trump had revealed some secret to Lavrov, kind of like some random meeting. At first, we looked at how the internet political process, internal system in the U.S. is developing. We found it funny, but today it's not just sad. It worries us. Yeah. All of that has been done on the basis of incitement of anti-Russian sentiment. What surprises me is they are shaking up the domestic political situation in the United States using anti-Russian slogans. Either they don't understand the damage they're doing to their country, in which case they are simply stupid, or understanding everything, in this case, they are dangerous and corrupt people. Wow. That's all true, ladies and gentlemen. And they just intend to move forward, have an authoritarian takeover in the claim that we're all Russian agents when the globalists are the ones destroying America. They have inverted reality. I don't see it working. Cernovich, go ahead and take over. I'm sorry, I'm still here.
No, I'm glad, to riff off each other because Putin nailed it. Trump didn't give the details to Putin. That's how we know it was McMaster. It's just basic deductive reasoning. Who was in the room? Trump was, the Russians were, Dino Powell, Rex Tillerson, and McMaster. Tillerson didn't know any of the stuff. Dino Powell didn't have enough details to do it. It couldn't have been anybody who transcribed the meeting because Trump didn't have the details. McMaster is the leak. He leaked it to the Washington Post. That's Putin confirming it, essentially, confirming that, hey, it wasn't us. It was probably McMaster.
But Putin says it's gone from funny to really being concerning. It is concerning.
Yeah, there's a big investigation now. which hasn't really been made public yet. There's a massive investigation. It is being treated as a major security threat. The Washington Post people are likely going to be subpoenaed. There's going to be a whole big court case over this because, again, Trump didn't have the details. That means whoever leaked it to the Washington Post.
Exactly, and I was about to ask, how does Trump counterstrike? Because they've committed so many crimes. They're ignoring all these leaks. How does he get on the offense? How does he change the subject?
The way he changes the subject is go pro-president. I want to see live streams of him going to Israel and him going to Saudi Arabia.
Sure, he's our real president. What about the idea that Drudge has of having a big military parade for veterans or something?
Yeah, you could do that. You just have to change the news cycle. But what they do is they respond to the news that is made by the fake news media. They don't create news. They don't drive the news.
Sure, let me ask you this then. Because I've studied a lot of political offices, and the Republicans used to do bad stuff too. The Democrats have always been worse on average. But Trump is so pure and so not manipulative. He even admits, yeah, I got rid of the FBI because this made-up Russia thing. He didn't even lie about that. So comparing what he's trying to do to the establishment, they call that naive and stupid. They think straight shooting is dirty and bad.
Yeah, but again, it all comes down to this, Alex. The world is nothing but a recurring news cycle. You're either making news, you're either breaking news, or you're caught in somebody else's news cycle. You and I, right now, we can have a conversation. For example, when we kind of made a joke about Obama, an absentee father, that became news. That was covered in every national paper in the world, essentially. We can drive news cycles.
Oh, I'm glad you raised this. I said on tape, live, at like 12 noon, that first little short segment with Roger Stone right here yesterday, I said, oh, yeah, look at those lips on McMaster, because he was smiling whenever clearly he was the leaker. I said, he looks like he can suck a golf ball through a garden hose, because he was asking, Stone was, why do all these national intelligence guys have bald heads? And I said, nothing against bald heads, nothing against gay people. Maybe he's a leather daddy. I saw some South Park episode about bald-headed guys in leather outfits. Something with like the YMCA song or something. The point is, I made a joke knowing they'd pick it up everywhere so I could respond today. I kind of forgotten about what I did. Say, wait a minute. Keith Olbermann can claim that his holster, that Trump is the holster for his genitalia. That's okay for Keith Olbermann, but when I do it, I'm this horrible anti-gay person. No, it was a joke. I don't believe McMaster's gay. So what if he is? We were saying, why does he have a bald head? Look at those big lips. It was a joke. Everybody else can make jokes. Why can't I? Again, they don't get the game they're playing. And now that's all over the news that I think McMaster's gay and I hate gay people. I never said any of that. I knew I would troll them because Stephen Colbert said something even more about Trump. Saturday Night Live, every episode says that Trump wants to have sex with Spicer. Is crawling on top of him. It's not true. Why is it okay for them but not for me?
Those are just the rules of engagement. We're not allowed to do satire. But the bigger point you touched on, which is so important, is that if you and I want to, we can say, hey, Alex, we want to get the media talking, and we can create a news cycle. That means the media has to respond to what we say. Well, Trump's current communications department policy is, oh, the media's asking us questions. We better answer their questions. Always
That's attack. The key. That's his problem. Why does he not control the news anymore? Why do his people, why are they kept slaves of those little shriveled, peckered New World Order people?
Exactly. It's attack, 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 never defend. I mean, think about it. Other than, say, Trump, who is attacked more in the media than people like you and I? The things they've called me pro-rape. They've called me a rape advocate, for crying out loud. Any heinous thing that you can think of, they've called me.
Even though you're against Islam, that is the culture of rape.
Yeah, and I never defend myself. I never answer. What I do is I attack them. I say, why didn't you investigate?
I agree, because their attacks mean nothing. People say, how are you handling all these lies? Great. Audience never been bigger. Because here's the secret, Cernovich. The attack's not on us. It's on our audience, hoping they're weak-minded and think. Like I had people walk up on the street and go, how's it going losing your wife? And I go, well, it was 3 years ago, and I've got my children, and I've had another baby, and it's actually quite wonderful. I didn't want a divorce, but, man, I really love my new wife. It's great. And the blood drains out of their face. And I'm like, that's right, dumbass. They put this out to sound like I'm a loser. I've never been a bigger winner. But it's all a simulation for them to feel powerful.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But the more fun is, again, how much our own people who are listening, they're independent thinkers, and they don't believe any of that crap. What's funny, actually, that I find amusing is my own people, you know, who are great people, they take the attacks on me more personally than I do. I just laugh them off. They know that we're being attacked, and that's what's so beautiful about everybody listening and watching and everything is they understand that in this war, everybody is a soldier.
Exactly. I want to be clear. I ignore it, let it roll off my back, even though it's, you know, it's hurt. Some of it hurts. Some of it gets through. At least intellectually, I'll laugh at it. But having people defend us means so much. It really is awesome because we are extensions of our audience. They have to know. They listened to us. They supported us. They made us. We're like your robotic probes that you've sent out to fight the globalists. We are you. You are the info war. That's not rhetoric. You are us. We are you. You have supported us. You have spread the word. You have interfaced with us. We have communed together. We are one. It really is true. That is the most important thing folks need to know.
Yeah, the way I always tell it is we're not on a pedestal. We're just down there with the troops. I mean, think about this. You went with the protesters, RNC, the megaphone. I went with the protesters at the DNC. People like Jack Posobiec are going in and covering the violent, feral Antifa. Owen, Millie, we're all in the mix, man, every day.
All right, I want to give you some time for your own rants. We're going to skip this break so you have more time. Then I have a video we're going to play right at the end of the hour dealing with some of the new things we've launched to support the broadcast. And then we're going to end this for the day. But I look forward to the next month or so. We're getting it all set up to launch a 2-3 hour show for you every day. But you go ahead and take over.
Have you watched that video yet of the Turkish diplomatic people?
Oh, I meant to get to that. That was my top video. Yeah, let's talk about that, guys, because there's a bunch of bad ones. There's one that's HD up close. Do we have the Turkish residence of the Turkish ambassador?
Yeah, I said.
Yeah, here it is. What does this mean to show the Turks are so anti-freedom that they would attack another group demonstrating peacefully and beat everyone up? I mean, this is just crazy. And the Turks are telling Germany and Europe, you'll do what we say, and they're threatening everybody. What is going on with Turkey?
And moreover, these are the people we're supposed to fight World War III with Russia over because they're in NATO and the no-fly zone. This is the people that Americans are supposed to die for. They come to our country where we do believe in free speech and like a bunch of thugs smash our own citizens. This should be over all the news everywhere, but deep state, they like Turkey because they're using Turkey as a pawn to make a World War III with Russia.
In fact, let's play this audio. You know, they just can't stand the fact they can't kill all the Armenians here. They'd love to. They've almost killed every Christian in Turkey, but not here yet. I just love the political action of the Turks.
Think, this is Husinka and the Young Turks. This is what they mean when they call themselves the Young Turks. They are a terrorist.
Oh, yeah, it's a total joke that he named himself the Young Turks when that's the young political group of thugs that led the movement to first burn down shops, stores, kill people, rape people in Turkey at the beginning of World War I. And 2 years later, they killed 1 million, 3 million, 5 Christians who'd been in there for over 2,000 years. They murdered them, and the Young Turks make jokes about this and won't even decry the Armenian massacre. What a group of monster pigs. Let's play the video for everybody right now. Here it is. And again, you've got the Turkish security people doing whatever they want. This is great footage, whoever shot this.
Get across the street.
Okay, so they go across the street.
Todd Nickerson. I'm a non-offending pedophile, political activist.
So we've now got them saying, go across the street. And then the Turkish security forces are pushing on the cops, ordering them around, telling them what to do. And then they just attack everybody. We're going to start this footage over at the beginning with audio because this just shows how our country is being turned into this lawless sewer. And I can't tell you, in my own life, I've had Turkey, the Turkish government, the Gulen movement, all of it, just in our business. And then you see Turkey saying, it's time for jihad in Europe. Let more of us in or we'll attack. We'll have holy war. Let's play this from the first. Here it is. It's intriguing footage. Should have led the show with it. Here it is. And so you got the security people of the Turkish ambassador's house just running out, beating everybody up.
These are protesters who are peaceful. These are peaceful American protesters.
if you're a radio listener, this is amazing, like HD footage. It's like 3D. What kind of camera shot this? And this is, what is this, American Ceci? I can't pronounce it. Voice of America, it looks like, but in like foreign language.
Yeah, Voice of America.
So Voice of America even caught this. Good God. I mean, Turkey is just out of control. And I love how the public's trained. Like, if these guys, I'm not saying I'm a tough guy, but trying to punch me. They're not even good fighters. They just beat the hell out of these people. Wow. I know we have some of the details, Mike. What happened here? Who was out there protesting? What happened?
So they were Armenians and Yemenis who were protesting the dictatorship in Turkey. If this is happening in America...
And I guess, again, in America and D.C., and the Turks are mad they couldn't kill all of them. Like, oh, my God, we couldn't kill your grandmother. Here, let me attack you now.
Right. Just like the Young Turks have inspired multiple mass shooters like Elliot Rodger, like the Seattle shooter. The Young Turks have actually inspired more mass shooters in America than anybody else, and certainly the media will not cover it up. So this should be the #1 story in the world. This, if the Turkish people will come and beat up Yemenis and Armenians in America, in our nation's capital, imagine what is happening in Turkey.
That's what I thought it was. So it's Turks attacking Armenians. Because I guess they're like, oh, my God, 4,000 escaped to America. Here's their grandkids. Let's attack them. So they're just so pissed they're still alive.
Yeah, the genocide. Yeah, they were upset. Like people like Sinca and the Young Turks, they're mad that they didn't murder and genocide and Holocaust every Armenian, and now they're coming after them.
I mean, do you really think that Sinca actually thinks that?
Oh, for sure. He named his show. That would be like if I started a radio show called The SS, right? Who would do that? The Young Turks is literally... the enforcers.
Yeah, you're like if you named it 88 Heil Hitler, we're the SS, and you wore black uniforms.
Right, exactly. It would be like calling it the 1488 show.
You know, we should really investigate. How do you say it? Sinker?
Sinca, yeah, I always forget, yeah.
Because, I mean, we really should investigate him. And like, why? Because he did name it Young Turks. That's the group that started the genocide. Why would you name your group that?
Well, and I'm going to give you actually, I'm going to send over to Nico right now a story about all of the mass shootings that the Young Turks fans have committed. So a lot of people don't know this. They're always trying to say, you and I, you know, mean people and everybody watch us. But this is actually not true. So I'm going to say, we should break this, you know, this is a big thing here. I'm sending it right over to Nico right now. But the Young Turks and Sinca have inspired terrorism and multiple shooters. Elliot Rodger, who, you know, killed a bunch of people in Chula Vista in California, was a Young Turks fan. Arkan Seaton, who was the Seattle Mall shooter, he was a big fan, a big fan of the Young Turks, a subscriber to the Young Turks, really into the Young Turks. So I guess the question is, why is it that if somebody who follows us on Twitter, you know, farts in the wrong direction, that's going to be called a sarin gas attack? But the Young Turks are inspiring mass murderers and mass shooters, and the media won't make them disavow this. Why will the media? Well,
it is true that the Young Turds were funded by Qatar. And when I mentioned that, whenever I saw them at the DNC or RNC, they blew up.
Right, exactly. So that's my question is, why won't the media demand that the Young Turks disavow the terrorists who read them and the mass shooters who watch them? This should be the biggest story in the world. Let me ask you this. What
do you think the Young Turds want in America, and why are they force-fed by Google?
Well, that tells you everything, right? They want what Shabani wants. They want to run everybody out of business, and they want a caliphate, and they want us running under Sharia law. They want more. They want the Armenian genocide, which is, of course, why Sinca's show is called The Young Turks. He wants to support the Turkish dictator. He wants to enslave. He wants to enslave everybody in America. They want genocide. They want to kill the Armenians. They want to kill the Yemenis. They're genocidal maniacs.
Well, all I know is I don't know if the Turks or the Kurds or who all wants what. I just know that we just saw the Turkish government people beat up a bunch of Armenians, and it's completely out of control. Mike Cernovich, thank you so much for co-hosting today. I've got several videos that we're going to play here at the end of the transmission, dealing with some of the new sponsorship we've got. But thank you for the work you're doing. I look forward to you being back on the broadcast next week.
Thanks, Alex. I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Folks, we're going to be on the Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central. I want to air the new promo here in a moment for the new product, Emmerich's Essentials, and we're going to end this transmission. But I just want to thank you, all the listeners, for your support, for your prayers, for spreading the word about the broadcast, because we are under unprecedented attack. We are being criticized on every front. We do have all these different forces that are trying to bring down our president. And it's time for the sleeping giant, America, to awaken. We've had it good so long that we don't even know the world we're living in anymore. So Mike Cernovich, you can follow him on Twitter at Cernovich. You can follow him at Danger and Play. You can find his book with us. You can just spread our articles and videos, because that's how we're changing the world. They wouldn't be targeting us if we weren't effective, just like Mike Cernovich said. Let me just ask Mike one more question. We've got about 2 minutes before I go to this promo piece, this little ad I put together with Rob Dew for the new shampoo and stuff. And we're going to end the show today. I'll be back tonight, 7 o'clock Central, Lord willing. What are some of the other big shoes to drop here?
Right now, my number one priority is, I just got a text message from somebody actually, so let me see if I can get this out real quick. So they were actually watching us live, and he had told me that he just saw my tweet about the Schedule C's temporary employees. He said it's actually worse than what you said. People are being told they have a permanent position, but their paperwork is not being processed. It's being stalled. And then half of the original Trump supporters are actually being told they will not be reappointed. My estimation that only 15% of Trump people will be given permanent positions is probably too high. It will actually be fewer than that. So 90% of the pro-Trump people, May 20th to May 23rd, they're all gone, man. Thousands of people.
Well, I know this. We're in a very historical time right now, Mike, and political action is the answer. I see the globalists and the leftists all going crazy like this right now because they know their time is short. They know humanity's waking up to them. I mean, I really think that's why this is happening.
No, it's 100% why. They gotta get rid of the people who actually got Trump elected, squeeze out the Trump supporters, keep bringing in the never-Trumpers, keep leaking classified information that Trump didn't even have, so that you're jeopardizing national security. I think they want a terrorist attack, to be honest. I think they've lost their minds so much that they want to frame Russia for a terrorist attack and hope that that'll implement World War III.
And that's right. And we've got to get back to what we were doing during the campaign, Trump or regardless, defending liberty, getting info out, realizing the fight just begun, like I said on election night. We just want to battle. The war has just begun. Mike Cernovich, thank you so much. How else do folks follow you?
Yeah, twitter.com/CERNOVICH is the best place to find everything, and we'll be breaking news. And as you can see, we're really growing very, very fast on Twitter, and the word is getting out. So even though, Alex and I talk about the crisis, that is only because we want you to know you got to get in the game. You can't be on the sidelines.
That's right. You have the power. All right, Mike, thank you so much. All right, I'm going to do this little promo for Emmerich's Essentials, and the show is going to be over. But thank you for staying and watching and supporting us, because we couldn't do it without you. And then tonight, 7 o'clock Central, a lot of breaking news and analysis. And then, Lord willing, I'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central. But at the very start of the broadcast, I laid out, they bring Trump down, it really hurts us. This is an epic battle. This is history happening. Colonel Schaefer and others agree this is a globalist deep state operation. This is big. So again, here is that breakdown of Emmerich's Essentials. And please join me tomorrow. Lord willing, I'll be here, 11 a.m. Central, but nightly news tonight, 7 o'clock. That's it for this broadcast. Until the end. Imagine the world without InfoWars. The globalists have already consolidated their power. They don't want people to have their own economies, their own choices. When you spread the links to Infowars.com news stories and our videos, when you tell friends, family, and neighbors about our free iPhone and Android apps, or send them a link to our daily podcast, you were involved in a revolutionary act against tyranny. It was George Orwell that said, in a world of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. That's why I spend a lot of time trying to not just innovate news and analysis and our fight against the globalists, but also thinking about how we're able to fund our operation. That's so critical to prosecute an information war. And I've spent 7 years off and on trying to get a big national brand that's already trusted to let us private label an entire line of personal care products that's organic and high quality. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have private labeled it, and it is the exact same product, just the name is different, Emmerich's Essentials, and it's on average 20% off what it would be in stores buying it directly from InfoWarsStore.com. On top of that, if you sign up for auto ship, you get an additional, out of the gates, 25% off on this product. Emmerich's Essentials is all about personal care, hygiene, not getting skin cancer, not getting bit by a bunch of bugs and, gnats and mosquitoes. It's all there. The body wash, the shampoo, the deodorant, the mouthwash, all of it is truly game-changing. BOA spray, totally organic, essential oils, works a lot better than the toxic chemical systems that are out there, and it is comparable in price, and again, is concentrated. The deodorant is amazing, high quality, doesn't have the aluminum garbage in it, totally natural, works great. SPF 30 face and body lotion sunscreen, unscented. This is exciting because so many of the so-called sunscreens that are out there are toxic. As everyone knows, I'm obsessed with win-wins. 20% off what it is retail, because we cut out the middleman. And then additionally, if you sign up for auto ship, out of the gates, 25% off that, because I want you to try these products. I want you to love these products. I want to have a deeper relationship with you in a 360 win, a non-zero-sum game, where you get high quality, you get value, and you repeat order something you need every month. And then we're able to secure our funding into the future to not just stay at the level we're at, but to grow in the face of enemy attacks. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, and you'll find Emmerich's Essentials. Let's go to Debit in Florida. Debit in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen, I have bought your product, and I gotta say they're amazing. Anyone who's on the fence, buy it, because I've got Caveman, Superman Vitality, Secret 12, Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I've got the body armor.
Wow, thank you. Wow. You're the type of listener that makes it all possible. Which nutraceutical does you like best?
I really like the Vitamin Mineral Fusion, to be honest. That's amazing. Really incredible. I drank it in the morning, and I swear to you, I felt incredible. Like, I haven't felt weak. My morning was fantastic, and I love you guys. I love the InfoWars crew, and I just want to, I want to take this opportunity to tell anybody out there who's on the fence, just buy it. You will love it. I'm telling you, I've never bought a bad product.
What you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLife.com. It's a win-win, InfoWarsLife.com.